that's kind of what you would expect it to look like.
Felt like a playoff game with the pitching.
45,000 in attendance. It was an unbelievable atmosphere last night in San Diego. You had a legit big-time starter on the mound for the Padres. That Michael King, man, that guy can pitch. His stuff was nasty last night. And Craig Stammen, if you're listening today, you're a dunce for the way that you performed last night.
Oh, shame.
I don't get it. Pulling him in that spot made no sense whatsoever. Now, I'm maybe going to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I also liked the way that Ollie Marmol went about it, but I thought that the two performances were quite different last night, and more importantly, given the situations, I thought those were different. It was a tie game when the Padres pulled their starter. The Cardinals were up when they pulled their starter. But let's start out with the Cardinals' performance from Michael McGreevy. It looked like a Michael McGreevy start.
You were going to say Michael King. It's okay. We all wish he was
Matthew
a Cardinal.
Liberatore. That's as good as we've seen him so far this season, man.
Mm-hmm.
The curveball looked like the curve that we had been promised since he had been a minor league starter for the St. Louis Cardinals. He induced a ton of weak contact by the San Diego Padres as well. Not only did he give you a chance to win last night, Alex, Matthew Liberatore was a big reason why you won last night. And that's the kind of thing you expect out of a guy that was, your opening day type of starter for the Cardinals in 2026. What did we learn about him last night in that game against the Padres?
That's going to be one of your two horses that'll carry you this season. I was impressed just with the swing and miss. What is it? He induced 11 swing and misses in that game. You get 6 strikeouts. It felt like he was in control from the moment that he started that game, which there's been times this season that it's felt like he hadn't had the control, and then he found it as the game went on. This was from the moment it started. Matthew Liberatore looked like the stud that they needed him to. And when you look at Liberatore, and for what we talked about with McGreevy yesterday, if the Cardinals are going to have success, it's going to be those two guys that carry your pitching staff. Dustin May will be an added bonus, as well as Leahy and Palante and anybody else that comes up. But with what Liberatore's stuff provided last night, and Michael McGreevy, who can give you the innings that you need, that's the 1-2 punch. So it was a great start for Matthew Liberatore. Now my Debbie Downer comment.
Go ahead.
I know. I'll be he's the one I'm most fascinated by for the rest of this season, because last year he looked great, and then he got exhausted, he got flamed out, and then by the end of the season, he looked gassed. Did you build that conditioning? Have you built that conditioning so that when June hits, July, August, when it matters the most, are you still giving the Cardinals that? Because that's what separates the guys that can be starters at Major League Baseball that are relievers in Major League Baseball. So that's where I'm really going to be focused in on, because if they can get Libby like this for 180 innings, 175 innings, Cardinals are going to be in really good shape because they found one of those guys in their rotation for the future.
Last year, Matthew Liberatore, through his first 16 starts on the season, had a 3.7 ERA. The underlying numbers said that was actually little less than what you would otherwise expect. He had a 3.1 fielding independent ERA. So he was one of the better pitchers in baseball through his first 16 starts. And then the second half happened. He almost never got through 6 innings. He was basically a 5-and-dive pitcher. And then by the end of the season, they more or less had to put him on the shelf because he just didn't have anything left. He was on fumes after we got to the month of July. So it is a totally fair point, Alex, to say this is a guy that needs to keep this up. And frankly, he hadn't been very good so far this year to begin with. Most of his starts were average or worse to begin the season. And his stuff, while it looked really good in spring training, I didn't feel as though it was playing up to start out the season. I don't know if that's a situation where, hey, last year I felt like I was on fumes once I got to July. I want to ramp up once we get to the regular season instead of peaking when we get to April this time around. And maybe that's what we're seeing. Maybe we're seeing him really ramp up once we get to May, so that way he can be the best version of himself when we get into hopefully meaningful games in August and potentially even September. That's the optimistic spin here. The pessimistic spin is, hey, he didn't look great the first month of the season. Now he's probably going to do another tailspin once we get to July or August, and you get 2 months of good Matthew Liberatore starts. But that might be enough for the St. Louis Cardinals, because you have a deeper rotation this year, even though T-Bone hates them, compared to what it was a year ago.
Well, I think the thing that will help separate them from being better than last year's rotation is Matthew Liberatore pitching like that last night. Because I agree with you. I didn't think his stuff's been very good for most of the season. And I look back, he's had 2 starts already this year where he's gone 6 innings and allowed 1 earned run. He did it against the Mets back on April 1st, and then he did it against the Astros in Houston on April 19th. And in both those games, he didn't have as much swing and miss. So if he can pitch like that last night, so much so where I was at a point where I felt confident sending him out there for that 7th inning in a 1-run game, that's how the rotation gets better than what it was last year. Because, yeah, McGreevy's going to end up being better than Eric Fetty, but so far there haven't been a bunch of great returns outside of Michael McGreevy. And Libby's the guy that we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what he looks like in the second half. I think last year was just the first time. I think you're going to see the same issue with Leahy this year. Hopefully they're going to have starters develop in the minor leagues so they can potentially move him to the bullpen if he runs into a bit of an innings limit, unlike last year where Liberatore had to do it, and they had to throw him out there at the end of the season. But if he can pitch like that yesterday, I mean, that goes to the conversation we had on the Red Bird Report of like, hey, is this rotation good enough to make the playoffs? My answer today is still no, but if Libby can pitch like that on top of Michael McGreevy, and then maybe you get one of Dustin May, Kyle Leahy, or who's the one I'm forgetting there, Palante to continue pitching well, then, okay, now we're talking about giving yourself a chance. That's the kind of rotation, though it's not great by any means, that would be good enough to potentially get you into the playoffs, and especially since they clearly have found their third big arm in their bullpen in Soriano.
Yeah, and he was awesome last night. Yeah. That was one of the big decisions in that game, by the way. MLB.com had this note earlier today over on one of their pieces. No team has made the playoffs after posting a strikeout rate as low as the Cardinals have had through 36 games since the 2017 Twins. And to add on to that, the last time a team made the Major League Baseball playoffs with the lowest generating strikeout stuff from their starting rotation was never. It's never happened since 1903. So the Cardinals right now last in Major League Baseball in strikeouts. No team that bad in strikeouts has ever made it to the postseason. So something's got to give. Either they're going to be the first in 120 years to make it to the playoffs with this kind of strikeout stuff from their pitching staff, or they're going to have to get more strikeouts. And Matthew Liberatore could go a long way in helping them do that. Let's get to some of those managerial decisions from last night. So do you want to start with the Cardinals side or the Padres side?
Let's start with the Cardinals side. Let's start optimistic.
Okay. So the Cardinals had a big choice. Let's go chronological, actually. I asked you as if it was going to be.
I thought he was going to say we're going the Padres side, and it's like, okay, well, then why'd you even ask me?
No, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Why do you poll the audience if you're not going to take the audience's opinion? This is why you lose Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
So the first managerial decision in that game was the Padres. It's 1-1. Padres are going into the top of the 7th inning. It's Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, and Mason Wynn due up. You have Michael King, who's at, 80-something pitches in the game? 2 out of his last 3 starts, he's gone 105 or more pitches. He was cruising. His changeup was giving the Cardinals fits. And you've got Jordan Walker, who early in that game did not look like he was seeing the ball well at all from Michael King. And Walker is one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball so far this year. You also had Nolan Gorman coming up, who, yeah, he's a lefty, but he did not look good at all last night. He looked awful in that game. And then Mason Wynn, who, you're probably not making a pitching change for him specifically. Did you guys like the choice there by Stammen to go to the pin instead of sticking with his starter in a 1-1 game, top of the 7th?
No, I don't think that's smart at all. I think you had at least one more inning out of Michael King. With what he was doing, the game was not very competitive from the Cardinals' perspective. You got a tie baseball game, and the scenario that led to the Cardinals taking the lead, I don't blame fully on the pitcher. And Castellanos, what the hell, man? But I think Michael King is at least keeping that a 1-run or a tie baseball game going into the 7th inning. So, no, I didn't agree with it.
Yeah, I would have kept Michael King out there. I mean, you could just tell he looked really good last night, and that changeup was disgusting. So, yeah, I would have kept him out there. I would have tried to get him through that 7th inning. Now, if he hits a wall, gets closer to that 100-pitch mark, like you're saying, like 105 where he had been, okay, then we can have a conversation. But for me, that was a no-brainer. Okay, he's going back out there. And I would always ask myself this question. If my pitcher is cruising, is the other side going to be excited when he leaves the game? The answer for the Cardinals was a clear yes. If the answer is yes, he's going back out there because he's clearly got your number.
Yeah, and I understand that the Padres have a very good bullpen. That is one of the reasons why they're as good as they have been so far this season. Their offense has mostly stunk, but their bullpen and overall their starting staff has been good enough to avoid the pitfalls that typically come with a bad offense. I don't care. King was the guy that gave you the best chance in that spot. If you're up 3-1, all right, maybe you go to your bullpen and you say, hey, we're going to close this thing out. We're getting aggressive. We're bringing in our best arms. You're not up. You're tied. It's 1-1 in that spot. You've got to find a way to continue to keep the Cardinals at bay. I wouldn't have gone to the bullpen there, but once they did, Cardinals get the leadoff double by Walker. Gorman does what he does, strikes out swinging, and then Wynn triples and what was a really bad defensive play by Nick Castellanos in right field. Cardinals are now up 2-1. In that spot, I was texting with one of my buddies, and he said, what do you do now? Because I hated the decision for the Padres to go to the bullpen. And if it was still 1-1, if I'm the Cardinals, I'd probably stick with Libby heading into the bottom of the 7th inning. Once the Cardinals, and I would also, if the Cardinals had cashed in on the Mason Wynn run, I probably would have once again stuck with Matthew Liberatore because now you're up 3-1. You have a little bit of insurance there. You can go batter to batter with Libby. But they had a bunch of righties coming up, including Tatis and Bogarts, who have the platoon advantage going up against Matthew Liberatore. You have Soriano, who's been pitching really well lately. I thought going to Soriano there, in my opinion, was the right call. Did you guys agree with them going to the bullpen aggressively in the 7th inning instead of sticking with Libby?
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. In a one-run game, and you had these bullpen arms that were rested for you, that they were ready to go. And, I mean, like it or not, we can complain about the bullpen all we want. These are the 3 guys that you trust when they come out of it. I agree with you. If this was a tie game or a 2-run game, I'm going back to Liberatore there because I want to see what it looks like. But that's an aggressive move that's trying to win by the manager. And you know what? You've allowed yourself to do that by what you did in the month of April. So I had no qualms with this because, yeah, I want to see Liberatore learn through this. But, man, that guy was pitching well. You went up by a run. You could get him the win. And more importantly, you knew your bullpen could shut it down.
I would have liked to go to Liberatore in the 7th inning. And I would have had a short leash. I would have probably given him, okay, first guy gets on, but we're going to Soriano. But I would have stuck with him. I think he got stronger as the game went on. And, I get it that Bogarts and Tatis got singles off of him the first time they saw him, but he got him out the second time, and then he walked Laureano the second time through the order. But I thought Libby had gotten stronger. Through his last 3 innings going into that, he'd only allowed 2 base runners. So I wanted to see him go back out there. The pitch count was still pretty low, and the more outs you can get with your starter, the better at any point in the season. So I would have preferred to go with him. I understand the thought process 3rd time through. I mean, they showed his numbers. It's not pretty.
It's terrible.
And he's going against righties. But that was one of those nights to where numbers be damned. You could tell he had his best stuff, and I would have stuck with him. I would have put him out there. If he gives up a leadoff single, okay, boom, we're going to the bullpen. But I would have tried to get him through that 7th inning.
I liked the decision there. I thought they went with exactly the guys that I would have gone with in those spots. I would have gone Soriano, JoJo, and then ultimately closed things out with O'Brien, who was nasty last night. His stuff looked awesome. The one call that I did not like, and I don't know if it was the manager or if it was the player that put this on, to be clear, I did not like Mason Wynn trying to bunt the runners over in the 9th inning.
Oh, wow. You and T-Bone are going to have to fight that one out.
Did you like that decision?
I did, yeah.
Really? With Mason Wynn coming up and Church and Pages coming up?
Yeah, but you're trying to get the runners into scoring position, and Church is a guy that he flied out to left. Now, I don't remember how deep it was. He would have scored the run if Wynn gets potentially.
But that wasn't the situation.
No, not because
they
Wynn
didn't get him over.
I know, but I like the idea from having Wynn try to lay down a bunt because then you get 2 guys into scoring position. A fly ball can bring in that insurance run. I had no issue with the decision. I don't know if it was Ollie or not. I didn't mind it.
Wynn has been hitting well, and the guys that were coming up are just not players necessarily that I'm trying to get to in order to drive these guys in. If you had Burleson or Walker or JJ coming up, sure, I could totally understand taking the bat out of Mason Wynn's hands and going to one of those guys, but this was not one of those situations. Again, I don't know who called for it. I'm not criticizing Ollie necessarily because I don't know if it was his decision, but whoever it was, I did not like that choice in the 9th inning.
I don't have the problem with the decision. I got a problem that you can't lay down the button.
Yeah.
Like, you got
high five.
I mean, you come through
matters.
on that one. You got the guy at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out.
He did get it down.
Well, yeah,
it's just a good defensive play.
Wrong part of the field.
Yeah.
I can't get the guy out at 3rd on the bunt.
I have no issue with it because, once you get those guys in scoring position with 2nd and 3rd.
Man. It was a perfectly executed defensive play. For a team that I don't think is great defensively in San Diego, that was well executed there.
And the reason I don't mind the bunt attempt is because, you get 2 guys in scoring position. Yes, I get it. It is Church and Pages coming up, but your probabilities of potentially bringing that run home just skyrocket because they're going to bring the infield in because they got to cut it down. So now what could be potentially a ground ball to short, well, it comes out of shortstop a lot quicker, so it's harder to field it. Fly ball gets the run home. Wild pitch gets the run home. Pass ball gets the run home. Like, I just like the probabilities. And Mason Wynn on this season's been terrible against right-handed pitching. And he's going up against Adams, who is a really good right-handed pitcher. He's got 640 OPS against righties. He's 21% below league average.
What's his average against righties?
228.
What's your average?
What's his average recently against righties? Because I think he's been playing a lot better lately.
I agree he's been playing a lot better, but if we're going to go by the numbers on Liberatore third time through, I'm sticking with my gut there on Wynn as well and bunting.
Okay.
I had no issue with it. Again, I don't know who called it. That may have been a Wynn decision. Whoever called it, props.
I mean, technically, Nathan Church did his job. If
He did not, because the runners were not bunted over in that
Nathan
spot.
Church did what he was supposed to do.
Wynn did his.
Wynn
But
didn't do his
the
job.
situation changes in that spot. It no longer calls for a fly out. When you've got runners on first and second, that is a different situation
Wynn
than when
does
you have
his
second
job.
and
Superstar
third.
player didn't get the job done.
Understood, but you're saying he did his job. He did not. The job in that spot is to drive the runners in. It changed when Mason Wynn did not get the runners over.
To be fair, 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. A lot of people didn't do their job.
No
in that
doubt
spot.
about it. Ultimately, though, all's well that ends well. Cardinals win 2-1 last night in San Diego. It was
guy
a
doesn't like
really,
bunting,
really
T-Bone.
I know, it's
fun baseball
increasing.
game.
Cardinals.com. I love it.
That was one of those. There was a lot there. If you're like a true blue Cardinals baseball fan, you want to go through the managerial decisions, you like to go through like the nitty gritty of the game, that was a game that had it all for you. It felt like a legit playoff atmosphere. The Cardinals have now won 4 straight against Pittsburgh, 2 out of 3 against LA, won 1 of the 2 games that you played against Milwaukee, and now they've started out the series with a win against San Diego. Stuff's starting to get real earlier than I expected for the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to break down. You can do so at 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. We also have the YouTube chat going at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. In 10 minutes, we're going to talk to Mike McKenna, the former NHL goalie. But next, the Springfield Thunderbirds, Alex, have advanced in the AHL Calder Cup playoffs. How do they do it? And how did Adam Jiricek look like in his debut for him last night? We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Thunderbirds could have a 3-on-2 here. Stenberg into the slot. Wagner in front. Dubé scores! Dylan Dubé! And the Teamers have pulled off the upset! 38 points behind in the regular season! It's the biggest series upset in Calder Cup playoff history!
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We do have Eric on the board today. That audio courtesy of the Springfield Thunderbirds radio network, which includes 101 ESPN for the Thunderbirds playoff run. What a win last night, Alex. I was actually able to catch a decent amount of that game because the Cardinals played so late that they were on in the intermediary piece of my night. It was a lot of fun to watch, and they now advance to the next round after beating the Providence Bruins, who were the best team in the AHL this season. The Thunderbirds, as recently as a couple of months ago, were not particularly good, but they found a way. And last night, they added in Adam Jiricek to the lineup. Theo Lindstein was out of the lineup, unfortunately. I think that might have been a BKO after he came on our show. I don't know what happened there.
I saw him in a suit sitting in his stall afterwards, so hopefully that's a good sign and not a bad sign. But
fingers crossed.
Boy, if we BKO'd him.
So Jiricek got the call yesterday. So did Justin Carbonneau, who's going to be joining us, by the way, coming up the 1 o'clock hour here on BK and Ferrario. What did you see from the young guys in their AHL debut last night, Alex?
Man, I was most impressed by Adam Jiricek. Justin Carbonneau looked fine. I think he had like 3 shots on goal in that game. There were some moments that he looked out of place, making a couple of mistakes with the puck. I didn't feel that way once with Adam Jiricek. I mean, first off, I think his first shift, he laid a massive hip check on the Providence Bruins players. And I mean, the dude flew through the air, and it's like, whoa, okay, so there's the physicality of Adam Jiricek. He later had a shot that went off of the crossbar behind Michael DiPietro, so nearly a goal on his first shot. And then there was a play on one of their power plays to where he was on the ice, and he was basically directing the 4 guys that were out there with him on where the puck needed to go. He was smacking a stick on the ice. He was pointing it around. And the first thing I'm thinking of is like, man, okay, so now he's commanding the ice because he's confident with his power play presence. So he wasn't on the ice for a goal against in this one. He didn't pick up any point. But I came away from that game being like, oh, okay, Adam Jiricek doesn't look out of place. Because typically when you go from juniors to the American Hockey League as a defenseman, there's moments that it's like, you got some learning to do.
Especially in a playoff situation where you're going up against the top points producing team in the AHL.
That was the thing. It's like this wasn't even a regular season game in the AHL. This was the playoffs. So both of the guys, it's like, okay, this is a good spot to be in for the Blues to see them perform and get this opportunity. But, man, coming out of it, it's like, okay, 1 game in, Adam Jiricek looks like he belongs in pro hockey.
I don't want to make too much of it because it's 1 game. But
sure.
if we can do so, what does that mean for the Blues? If he is ready, if he looks the part already, what does that mean for them in both their offseason plans and ultimately their plans for next season?
I mean, what it means is your defense is that much better. Now, I don't know if that means you get a little bit more risky and you try and float a Colton Parayko out there in the trade market. I would say no, because I think you're still going to need Parayko. He's going to have learning curves at the NHL level, Adam Jiricek. But what that means is you got a guy that can jump in, at least perform adequately defensively for you. There's going to be some learning like Logan Mailloux was. But offensively, I think, is the part that it's like, hey, he might help because we know how Jim Montgomery works. He wants his defensemen to get involved in the rush, get involved on the offensive side. And again, watching him just kind of command the ice and just float pucks towards net, that helps the Blues in terms of, I don't think you need to worry about defensive depth this offseason. You've got your starting 6 as it stands right now. And then from there, you're talking about Jiricek, Kessel, Tucker, Lindstein, all of these guys fighting for one of those last spots.
Who do you think right now is that third pair left shot defenseman? Is it Tucker?
I think if you were to ask the Blues now, they would say Fowler and Tucker. And then the hope is that Adam Jiricek outplays Tyler Tucker in training camp.
He goes on the left side?
No, Jiricek would be on the right side. Tucker goes on the right side, and then Fowler's playing on the left side. Because I think their top 4 would be Broberg and Mailloux, Lindstein, and Parayko.
Lindstein is the other one. That's
and then they would look at it as Fowler and Tucker. And I think the hope is you have that carrot that's, hey, you need to outperform Tyler Tucker and Matt Kessel to get that roster spot in training camp.
It's a pretty good opening night. I don't know about good. It's a pretty interesting opening night defensive core.
It's got the potential to be good
too.
Yeah,
cost controlled.
Yeah, you got 3 guys that are on entry level contracts still. You've got a defenseman who's paid, I would say underpaid in terms of Colton Parayko and $6.5 million, and Broberg, who's probably going to be underpaid if he continues to go up.
In that scenario, I think I would keep Parayko, barring something unforeseen this offseason.
Yeah, I'm with you. Unless somebody comes to the table and offers better than what the Buffalo Sabres did, which is a really good offer in terms of Mertka, which was a 9th overall pick and another first rounder, I don't think I'm moving him.
You probably wouldn't use him to like move up to number 2, for example.
I would. Yeah.
No, I never argued that they should do that. I just argued that I think they would do that, or that the Sharks would want that. But no, Jiricek is going to have learning curves. This is not me coming on the air saying he is already a Hall of Famer, so plan on it, Blues fan. He is going to have moments defensively that it's like, oh.
Of course.
But that's why you have a Colton Parayko on the ice. Because when it doesn't look pretty, you pull him back a little bit. You send him back and you play him with Cam Fowler, which Cam Fowler's got to be overjoyed. Be like, cool, I get to do this one again. But Jiricek playing as much as he did in juniors, to me, just didn't look out of place. You get the learning curve with a guy like Jay McKee, who has been an NHL defenseman, and then now you get to play with Steve Ott for the remainder of this playoff series, which now you at least get 3 more games in the AHL playoffs of Adam Jiricek.
When was the last time the Blues had this much youth in their defensive core? And not just youth, but like young guys that you think are going to be around for a while.
Cup run Parayko was what, 25?
I guess he was younger than I expected.
Dunn was a rookie. Edmondson was pretty young, so probably those 3.
Yeah. And most of those guys were there for a while, or you moved on from them to get something to help.
The difference is, though, those guys, because Parayko and Edmondson came in when Hitch was there, so 2016, I think, so they were already 3 years in as NHL defensemen, and you've got one guy that played a full season, one guy that played half of a season, and one guy that hasn't played a season.
Well, I would throw Broberg into this mix, too. He's only 24.
I mean, he's probably more in line of what Parayko was at that time, to where it's like, hey, now you're getting it.
And it's a little more difference that's interesting this time around, because those guys were more shutdown defensemen, right? Because that was more of... Because Edmondson was an offensive guy.
Parayko Dunn
was at times. Yeah, Dunn was the one kind of exception
was more offensively inclined than people... I mean, he had 10 goals and 28 points in that Cup season.
I guess that's fair.
So, I mean, he had more offense, but to your point, they utilized them as shutdown defensemen.
Yeah.
It's just they had a little bit more offensive upside.
Yeah, and the guy that was the puck mover was Petro.
Yeah.
Like, Petro was your Jiricek at the time.
And then Dunn. Yeah. Because I think, and then you had the Fowler's kind of like a Carl Gunnarsson, where you have that steady vet back there. So, I mean, they got it.
About Gunnarsson.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. In 15 minutes, we'll get into Ask Us Anything. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, we'll get to those in Ask Us Anything in just a little bit. But next, Mike McKenna, the former NHL goalie, joins us here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Classic Hair Care, the company that has been making people comfortable since 1926. And when it comes to your HVAC system, whether you got an older one or maybe you had one installed a couple of years ago, the most important thing you're going to need to do is maintain the maintenance of it. And that means having it checked out and making sure there's no bugs in it, making sure all the wires are cleaned, because that dust and gunk can fill up over time, making sure the filter is changed. All of that is going to extend the lifespan of your HVAC system. And right now in the month of May, Classic Air Care is offering an $89 AC tune-up for them to come out, do all of those things to make sure that it's clean and ready to go for this upcoming summer season. And what you get with Classic Air Care is a company that has technicians that have been doing this for 30 years. You get 5-star service, and you get technicians that are out there to be helpful, trustworthy, and provide the right answers that you need for your HVAC system. So call them today. They've got 100 vans out on the road, so they're going to get back to you quickly. They'll schedule you. You could do so online as well at classicaircare.com. Again, Classic Air Care. Tell them Alex Ferrario sent you, classicaircare.com.
Good morning. My name is Eric Harkey with your Sports Center update brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. The Cardinals take game 1 of their 7-game road stretch against the Padres. They are back on tonight against the Padres at 8:45. This Sports Center update was brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Happy to go out to the Calder and Thompson hotline for our weekly conversation with the former NHL goalie. Now, the spokesman for Macadoodles out in Darden Prairie. He's Mike McKenna joining us as he does each and every Friday. Mike, appreciate the time as always, man. How you doing today?
Doing great. Happy to hear from you. Another beautiful Friday. And I tell you what, for all the youth hockey parents that are out there, I just got some pictures of the renovations being done on the Kirkwood Ice Arena, and it's going to be ready to go in the fall, bar anything crazy. So something ahead of schedule in the construction world, guys. It's the best news anybody could get in this city with youth hockey.
It's that and Quick Trip out in St. Charles. Those are the only two things that are going ahead of schedule, it seems like.
Nothing else. Nothing else.
Certainly not the 370 extension thing that they're working on right
and
now.
And 64 is coming sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they're shutting down that entire highway for like A long time?
Right? They'll be like, oh, it'll only take 6 months, and then you'll never see it again.
Years later. All right, Mike, let's talk a little bit about what we saw last night. We just discussed this. AHL, Springfield Thunderbirds advancing to the next round of the Calder Cup playoffs. They just pulled off the biggest upset by points difference in the history of the AHL playoffs. They did so with Steve Ott in charge. How much of a feather in the cap is this for a guy like Steve Ott, who's trying to make his way into the conversation of becoming an NHL head coach?
It's amazing. All you can hope for is that you come into a situation and you're able to take over and have a great start to it, especially having not been a head coach before like Steve Ott. This is always a big gamble to go and take that role on when being an assistant, an associate, as he's been, is one thing. But when you're actually commanding that bench and you're the person in charge, it's awesome. And, I mean, I got a soft spot for Springfield. I actually played the first game in Springfield Thunderbirds history when we were the affiliate of the Florida Panthers. And that's become a fun place to play. I mean, it's a good atmosphere there. The place was going nuts. And I just love that this team that was very mid for a lot of the season has all of a sudden pulled off a huge upset. Now they got a ton of juice moving on, and you never know in playoffs, man. If you've got momentum going and you got a coach people believe in and you get players back from the Blues that have more experience like they have, it's a nice recipe.
Mike, you were a part of a couple of deep runs in the AHL playoffs, and I would assume you played with a lot of younger prospects that are getting that experience at the AHL level. How critical is it for those guys like Jiricek, Carbonneau, Stenberg, Lindstein to get the feel of this before they go into a massive training camp for them?
I'll give you a great example. It's one of the best that I can think of with this. Some of the people listening probably are familiar with Rope Hintz, plays for the Dallas Stars, one of the top centermen in the league, great pivot. He came to us with the Texas Stars when I was playing in the American Hockey League as the Dallas Stars affiliate. And his rookie year was with us. He had training camp with Dallas, and it went pretty well, but he was still green. I think he was 19, turning 20. And that season, we went to the American League Finals. We went all the way to Game 7 against the Toronto Marlies, who eventually beat us. They had about a $3 million payroll to our $1 million, by the way, but that's neither here nor there.
AHL, man.
Yeah, well, and it's the Leafs, too, right? So they just are stashing bad contracts like crazy. But the point of this, though, is that Rope Hintz during the regular season for us in his rookie campaign was good, especially for his age. But when the chips were down and we went to the playoffs, he was phenomenal. And it was just like it lit this fire. And the deeper we went, the more confident he got. And he just turned into a force. And this stuff really can happen during an American League playoff run. Carey Price won a Calder Cup, which is the American League Stanley Cup. He did that with the Hamilton Bulldogs coming straight out of junior hockey. Those types of players, whether we're talking about Hintz or Carey Price, you just learn pro pressure. You learn the timing of it. You learn what it's like to grind. You don't get that in the regular season. And both of those players turned out to be fantastic players. Rope's still going, but it's the best example I can think of where it really was the catalyst for his career.
We're talking to Mike McKenna here on 101 ESPN. He joins us each and every Friday here on BK and Ferrario. Mike, there was some news for the St. Louis Blues over the weekend. It was right after we had our conversation last week. They decided, hey, we're going to go ahead and get this done. We're going to sign a long-term extension with Dylan Holloway, $7.75 million per year. I know you've always been a big fan of his game. You talked about how he has legit star upside with us all throughout this regular season. What did you think of the extension? Do you think it makes sense for the Blues to do that at this point in the offseason?
100%. And it gets it out of the way early. The Blues needed to have it happen. And honestly, I think this is a really good rate. It's hard for me to believe that he's under the $8 million mark where he's trending towards with some of the points that he's put up. This type of player, I think, that can do everything on the ice like Holloway, you're not going to see these players for under $8 million or $9 million in the near future. Now, part of this is that, without looking how far it goes, I believe this eats up a couple of years of free agency for him, but it's not excessive, being a 7-year. So, or a 5-year deal, to take him through 2031. This is great. It gives Holloway time to continue to grow as a Blue. Well, I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I just had a Page from the front. I don't know if you heard that here at Macadoodles. That's live radio for you there.
That was wonderful.
Somebody's got shenanigans that they need their free bottle.
They're coming early and often, Mike.
So anyway, what I'm getting at here with Holloway, though, this is a really good deal. It's done early. There's nothing more to discuss with it. You've got a core piece locked up. And I like the time frame of it. 5 years, you're not committing terribly. But, I mean, honestly, if I were the Blues, I would have liked to have gone for the max 7 or 8 years. That's the only drawback I see. But then again, the player's getting a bit of flexibility out of it, too. So it's always give and take.
So, Mike, they have a couple of other guys that are eligible for extensions this offseason. One, Jimmy Snuggerud, another, Joel Hofer. Would you be approaching any of these guys to try and get contracts done? Or is this a matter of, hey, let's let this play out because we're going to re-sign them no matter what?
May you and Neighbors as well. Yeah. You asked that question much better than I did for Doug Armstrong.
We had time here. We had time.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear Army's response on it.
We'll wait on that.
Yeah, no, he actually said that's Steen's job.
See, it's smart on his part, man. We'll take all the pressure off. No, I would definitely prioritize Snuggerud first off. I mean, Mayu, I think you're going to want to see what the season looks like before you do anything with him. I don't think there's a reason to buy in and try to project with him. Snuggerud, I think you could do that. And that's where you might be able to get a bit of value out of it if you get him locked up early, even though there's just not a lot here at 27. I wouldn't be making this move before the season begins, but I definitely have contract negotiations going on before. Hofer, you don't want to let that run out. And that's going to be interesting because if there's any inclination that Jordan Binnington could be on a trade block, you're going to want to make sure you've got Hofer already signed before you do that, because you want to make sure that you're not having a lot of leverage held over yourselves trying to unload a goaltender when you've clearly got your goalie of the future. So, in that order, I think you could actually get Neighbors done the easiest. He's a known commodity. You've won him here. You could lock that one up in the summer. Snuggerud's probably going to be in season. Hofer, man, I'd like to have that one done as quick as I could, and may you just see how it plays out.
We're talking to Mike McKenna for just another couple of minutes here on 101 ESPN. Mike, I know you were watching that game between the Hurricanes and the Flyers last night. Carolina is an absolute wagon so far in the postseason, and as a former NHL goalie, you've got some thoughts on their goaltender. So tell us a little bit about what you've seen from Frederik Andersen so far this postseason.
For sure. I'm kind of putting my old radio hat on here for a second to bloviate about this guy, but It's really nice to see somebody like Freddie Andersen, the goalie of the Carolina Hurricanes, get his flowers. And what I mean by that is that he's a guy that for years has been tagged with this label that he just can't perform in the playoffs, and the Canes have to go out, get something different. There was talk that this year you were going to see Brandon Bussi in net as a starting goaltender for the Canes in the playoffs. And it turned out that Rod Brindamore stuck with Freddie Andersen. Probably the expectation that organization was Pyotr Kochetkov was going to be the goalie of the future. That's not happened this year. So Freddie Andersen's 36 years old. And it really hit home with me watching yesterday and his interview afterwards, because that was a time frame when my career was starting to wind down. I hadn't cracked the NHL full time. Didn't think I could keep playing forever. And 36, this is time to walk away. My story went like this, that I could not succeed in the playoffs until I was into my 30s. For whatever reason, whether external, whether it was mental, whatever it was, it took me a really long time to cross that bridge to being a successful playoff goaltender. And we're talking, this is probably, 2015-ish, like 10 years into my career, so 32-ish or so. But it was like all of a sudden that light switch flipped. And I had one really good series against the Hershey Bears when I was with the Portland Pirates in the American League. And then, the next 2 years after that, all of a sudden, I'm playing in the finals. And this has happened for Freddie Andersen. Something has clicked with him. And I just think this is a really good reminder for any player out there. And this isn't just NHL level or American or pro even. It's that sometimes adversity will beat you up endlessly to the point where you don't think you can do something, and then you just have a breakthrough. And you just get to that other side. It's like, when you just don't have the guts to jump off that cliff and you finally do, and you hit the water and you realize, like, man, I'm alive. I don't ever have to do this again, but I'm here. Freddie Andersen's kind of had that happen to his game. Now we're still in the second round, but I've loved seeing it because it really hit home with me. And it's such a good reminder to people, man. You can always reinvent yourself. Like, what your label is doesn't necessarily mean it's the rest of your life. You can change that. It's not easy. It takes sustained success, but you can absolutely do it. So that's my soapbox for the day on Freddie Andersen. I love to see it. It's been awesome at his stage of his career to finally get some of the reward and a little bit of flowers, like I said earlier.
It's a good one. That's the team I'm rooting for. 1, because I love Rod Brindamore. 2, because I hate every team in the Western Conference. And 3, it just rubs it in even more to the Maple Leafs that they had that guy and they let the guy walk because they said he couldn't win in the playoffs. And then the Carolina Hurricanes are going to get him, and he's going to probably win for him in the playoffs.
They're going to find a way to lose. Mike,
come
appreciate
on,
the
man.
time as always, man. What can the fine folks expect when they walk through the doors today over at Macadoodles?
Well, if somebody walks through the door and screams, "Wizard!" and rings the bell, I've got a bottle of E.H. Taylor that they can purchase here at MSRP. So we're going to go with Wizard today. I'm going to make sure our team knows it because last week, guys, we set a new record. We had somebody come through the door, 20 seconds. They were sitting in the parking lot here at Macadoodles, just north of the Bryan Road and Feisig intersection, north of the Page Extension. So that's coming in. I got a big old drop of Frank August, one of our Red Hot brands. I've got Case Study 7 that just came in the door. I've got Old Fit 7-year. Man, I've got some Fortaleza that came in today. If you purchase a bottle of Arete tequila, you can have a Fortaleza. And we got a bunch of wine, rosé wine, that's all on sale. Don't forget, it's Mother's Day this weekend, tomorrow and Sunday. $5 off any bottle over $40. That's for everything in the building that's regularly priced here at Macadoodles.
He's Mike McKenna. Joins us each and every week here on BK and Ferrario on behalf of the fine folks over at Macadoodles. Go say hello today. Check them out and see if you can get in on some of those deals. Mike, appreciate the time as always, man. We'll talk with you again next week.
That sounds good, and I guess go Thunderbirds, eh?
That's right.
Amen to that.
That's right. No doubt about it.
Cool.
Appreciate you, Mike.
See you,
Take
Mike.
it easy, man. It's Mike McKenna joining us here on 101 ESPN. Appreciate his time as always. Want to respond to something real quick, Alex, from the YouTube chat. YouTube.com/101ESPN STL. We also have our text line, 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything, which we'll get to here momentarily. Somebody on the YouTube chat, Johnny, said, guys, why are we talking about Frederik Andersen? This doesn't matter. The reason why is because Mike McKenna wanted to talk about Frederik Andersen today. And when Mike says he wants to talk about something, guess what? We're going to talk about it. Yeah. He joins us every week here on the show. We got to ask him about the things that we were interested in. He wanted to talk about Frederik Andersen, had some thoughts on an older goalie who's having success right now in the postseason. That's it. It's really that simple. When you listen to TMA, they have people on each and every week who come on and they just talk about what they want to for a segment. For 2 minutes, Mike McKenna got an opportunity to talk about a guy that means a lot to him and a story that means a lot to him. So that's it. It's really that simple.
Yeah. And also, they just played last night. They got a victory. They're up 3-0 in the playoffs. Like, that's the playoffs right now, and that's a story. That's a personal story from a guy that Mike McKenna played against, played with. And he's giving you a little perspective on it, which, frankly, you just don't get a whole lot.
He's Alex Ferrario. I'm Brandon Kiley. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, time for Ask Us Anything here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, we have Eric on the board with us today here on BK and Ferrario. All right, let's get into Ask Us Anything. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for any questions you may have, sports or otherwise. From the 314, guys, things seem to be falling into place at multiple positions for the Cardinals. But what do you think is going to be done at third?
To be determined.
I think it was Brendan Schaefer who said earlier today, guys, Nolan Gorman is what he is. At some point, you've got to stop asking for him to be more. And looking at the numbers, boy, is this exactly what he's been. In 2024, OPS of 671. In 2025, OPS of 666. OPS this year, 667. He is a 10% below league average hitter and a perfectly adequate but not special defender at third base. I think the evaluation of Nolan Gorman is nearly complete. He has 1,700 major league at-bats at this point. The question now is, how do you value it? What is the value of a guy who has a little bit of pop, strikes out a lot, roughly league average offensively, and maybe slightly above league average defensively at this point? And that's what the Cardinals have to decide for themselves. To me, there's not a ton of value in that. And I will be very curious to see what they do in terms of the leash with him at third base. But for his career, he was worth 2.5 wins in 2023. The rest of his career combined has been worth 1.5 wins. He's just not that valuable of a player. It stinks, but sometimes you miss. And it appears that they missed in terms of the upside for Nolan Gorman. He's still 26. I think he'll have a pretty long career in Major League Baseball because he's a fine defender and he's a left-handed bat with a little bit of pop. That guy ends up being around the league for like 10 years. I just don't think it's as a starter for a contender.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be with the Cardinals beyond this season. And what's the plan there? I don't think there is a plan there because you don't have a clear third baseman that is going to take over that spot. Maybe it's shifting a guy from a different position and playing him there. Maybe it's the outside perspective of, hey, you're missing one more bat. Third baseman becomes available. That's the guy you go get. But I'm with you. The reason you were still optimistic on Jordan Walker was because he was 22 years old. This guy's 26, and every year it's the same story. He's good for a month, and then from there it's just not a whole lot to offer.
And he's still going to have it in a month. Like, I don't know when it's coming, but at some point he's probably going to hit 5 home runs in a 7-game stretch.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
That's coming.
He never had that last year, really. And that's the thing for him. I agree. Like, if he were to hit for the power like he did in that year that you mentioned, the 2.5 WAR season, 478 slug, 450 slug, honestly, you can live with that. The problem for Gorman is that's his best tool, and he's not been doing it. 400 slug in 24, 370 in 25, and currently it's 377. If you don't do that, man, I don't know what your role is at the big league because you're not a great defender. You don't have great speed. I think when it comes to the answer long term, maybe they draft someone this year in this year's draft. Maybe they convert someone like, I think it's Jesus Baez, one they got in the Helsley trade. Maybe he develops into a big leaguer and they move him from short to third. Like, you can find these answers, or you go to the free agent market and you just keep kind of going through the rotating doors of free agents till you find a long-term answer.
From the 314, what does playoff success for Romanov and Dubé mean for the Blues? Is there any chance that either of the two end up with them next year?
Romanov, no. I mean, he's 26 years. He has been incredible. He's got a .954 save percentage right now for the Thunderbirds.
He was amazing last night.
I think they've outscored since that 8-1 loss, which I believe was Zarenko in net. They have given up a total of 6 goals in 6 games. Wow. So he's been very good, but you're not there yet. And frankly, you don't need to be there yet. Now, maybe next year he takes another step, and in 2 years, if Binnington's not here, then you look at that as the backup goaltender. But Dubé, I told you guys in the office, it could just be situational because he got that goal last night and he scored a couple of big ones for the Thunderbirds. But I think there's a real chance he has a shot to make the roster. The question will be, does he sign a contract with the Blues to be on the NHL team? Does another team tell him, hey, you got a top 9 role for us because you showed it in the AHL? But, I mean, the way he plays, to me, that's a fourth liner that can add a little bit of an offensive spark for you.
From the 314, all right, guys, the people deserve to know. Is Eric just training to replace Grant, or is T-Bone getting the call up to be a co-host?
Well, Grant hasn't been here since January. So.
But to answer the question,
yes.
Yeah. That's exactly what's taking
Grant was
place.
our Pew Suitor, a Swiss Army knife, and Jordan was promoted to Grant's role of the primary blues producer. And so, yeah, need another Grant Francis in the building. So
it's always important to have people that can work the board on these shows because, like, T-Bone's going to take vacation soon. Somebody's got to work the board when T-Bone's out because I'm sure as hell not going to do it. Alex hasn't done it in God only knows how long at this point in time.
it won't be pretty.
Eric's better than either of us in that role. So Eric's going to be helping us out in that capacity, and we're happy to have him here on 101 ESPN.
What, 4 years since you ran board, right? Before
Well,
I
mean,
got here, or five maybe?
I run
21?
it during Blues games at times, whether Jordan or Grant has to go to the bathroom or we have
Gotcha.
like a panic situation. But like for this show, yeah, I mean, I think I've ran it once when we were tight on board ops, but it's been since it was Rivs and BK that I've run the board.
From the 314, should the Cardinals look into extending Ivan Herrera? What would the price be?
No.
You don't need to.
extend anybody.
You don't need to. He's got 3 years of club control remaining. He's 26 years old. Play it year to year right now, and then once you get into like 2028, then we can have the conversation.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I wouldn't worry about it. The other thing, too, is I still don't know that you know where his position is. And I think when you extend guys, you typically know where they're at, right? Like when you're talking about a Weatherholt extension, you know he is your franchise second baseman. When you're talking about Walker, you're talking about your franchise right fielder. Right now, Herrera's your franchise, like somewhere in your like 2 through 5 in your order. I'm not convinced the catcher's still his position long term, and I'm not sure that they are either. So I just, with that, you can't really do an extension, in my opinion.
From the 314, we had a couple of people ask this question. I feel like we should at least address it, guys. What happened? What happened to Grant? Apologies if you don't want to talk about it on air, but did Grant just up and quit? I've been out of the loop. No, Grant moved back to New York.
Yeah,
he's doing a-okay. Yeah. He made a personal choice to go move to an area that he wanted to be in. So no, there was no ill will. We all love Grant here. It was just a thing where hey, he got an opportunity out there, wanted to live in New York. God bless the kid.
Grant's family and friends, or some of his family and some of his closest friends are in New York. He's got a job working in radio out in New York. He's an incredible producer. So he's still doing production work over there. And I still text with him regularly to tell him that I want him back to do Blues with me.
So this wasn't like a quitting situation.
No.
He just got an opportunity, wanted to go back to New York. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, is there anyone on the free agency market that would actually make sense for the Blues? And because it's such a crap market this year, does it actually improve some of the value for the Blues that could be available via trade? We'll get into that in 15 minutes. We got to talk about Alec Burleson, though, coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
Good. Alec Burleson clobbers one on a line to right, and it is gone. Burleson on a clothesline ties this game at 1.
It's what it sounded like last night on ESPN. Alec Burleson with a homer. He now is on pace this season for 40 doubles, 25 homers, and 130 RBI. Alongside Alex and T-Bone and BK, we've got Grant on the board for us.
Not Grant.
Nope, we've got Eric on the board for us
next
today.
Grant.
Here on 101 ESPN. Alex, I feel like we have spent zero time talking about Alec Burleson so far this season, and for good reason. Jordan Walker, we've spent a lot of time talking about him. J.J. Weatherholt has been a revelation so far this season. Ivan Herrera has continued his ascent, and overall, just like the team performance has taken up a lot of oxygen. And so the guy that's just, performing kind of as expected, but 10% better, he doesn't get a lot of the conversation here on the station. But Alec Burleson deserves our attention at this point. Those on-pace numbers that we were just talking about, those would be some of the best numbers by a Cardinals hitter under the age of 28 in like the last 15 years. Mm-hmm. In fact, they would be some of the best numbers by a hitter under the age of 28 in Major League Baseball over the last 5 years. Here's the entire list of players 28 or younger to hit 40 doubles, 25 homers, and at least 100 RBIs in a season in the last 5 seasons. Vlad Guerrero Jr., he did it in 2024. Bobby Witt Jr., he did it in 24. Matt Olson, who did so in 22, and Ozzie Albies in 2021. That's it. He would be potentially the 5th hitter to do this in the last 5 seasons, Alex. A really well-rounded, all-around approach. What are we seeing right now with Burley and the evolution of him as a hitter?
Now, what the player that I'm about to bring up, they do it differently in terms of their style, but I think Alec Burleson is the newer Brendan Donovan for you. And what I mean by that is, like, Donovan was older than the crop of younger players that you had, but he was the guy that you look at and you'd be like, man, that's one of the best players that we have in terms of consistency and what he does, how hard he works. He's a voice. I think Alec Burleson is that. Now, it's different because Burleson's got more power than Brendan Donovan, and Brendan Donovan was more of that utility piece that you could put everywhere. But I look at Alec Burleson, and somebody had to emerge when they moved on from Donovan and Contreras and Arenado as that next, for lack of a better word, grandfather of that clubhouse, like the leader of that pack. And to me, that's what Alec Burleson has become. He has always been a guy that, at least the last couple of seasons, you looked at and you were like, man, I don't know if he's one of those 3-headed monsters, but he is absolutely a guy that you have to have on your team if you want to win with. But now it feels like you're taking that step towards maybe he is one of those guys in the middle of the lineup that you trust in every situation, and he does provide you that power. Because if this guy can become a 30-home run hitter or maybe somewhat close to it, man, you add that into with Walker, with Herrera, and with J.J. Weatherholt. Those are 4 pieces that you look at in the middle of the lineup, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think the reason we don't talk about him a lot is it's twofold. One, it is the Walker and Weatherholt, as you had kind of made reference to there. And then it's also the fact that he's not a 30-home run hitter, right? So a lot of people they kind of brush off those guys as being the impact bats that Alec Burleson is. You can still be an impact bat without hitting 30 home runs, as long as you're a doubles machine, which you just laid out there with those numbers, BK. That's the thing that is going to make him the impact bat for the Cardinals. He reminds me of Matt Adams. Matt Adams kind of did this. Honestly, Matt Holliday did this towards the end of his career when he was here in St. Louis. He wasn't really a 30-home run hitter with the Cardinals. I mean, you look at what he did when he came here starting in 2010. He had 28 home runs the first year, but then the following year it was 22, 27, 22, 20. But he drove in 75, 102, 94, 90. I could see that being Alec Burleson. And by the way, those seasons I made reference to, of those 4 that I just read off, 3 of the 4 he had more than 35 doubles in a year. That's kind of what I think you're looking at. It's not a guy that's going to hit the 30 home runs, which is something that I think you still do need in an order, but that's now Jordan Walker, right? It's not going to be Alec Burleson. You're not asking him to be too much. He can be in that 3 spot, and as a contact hitter, be someone that really can drive in runs for a team because he's not going to strike out a ton. He doesn't chase after a lot of pitches. He's the ideal, typically 5-hole hitter, but for this team, he's the perfect 3-hole hitter that's going to drive in runs.
He's such a unique hitter because he just doesn't strike out. And this year, one of the things that's impressed me most is he's taken his walks, too. He's been disciplined in a way that he never really had been previously because for all of his qualities as a hitter, he was so aggressive. He was just such a free swinger. And last year, he forced opposing pitchers to come back into the zone, and that's what allowed him to really become so productive. But this year, he's walking more than 10% of the time. He's still striking out less than 15% of the time, and he's hitting for power. You look last year, the entire list of players that walked at least 10% of the time, struck out less than 15% of the time, and had a slugging percentage over 450. Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman. Those are some of the most well-rounded hitters in Major League Baseball. That's the kind of company that Alec Burleson, at least right now, is on pace to be with. You add him into the mix from the left side with Ivan Herrera, who kind of has a similar type of an approach at the plate. And then you have that bookended by J.J. Weatherholt and Jordan Walker. You're talking about a legit 1 through 4 in your lineup anymore where you don't even have to squint. That's just a contending 1 to 4. Now, you need to keep adding on there. Your 5-hole spot right now is a weakness. You don't really have somebody that profiles for that spot in your order. 6-hole, I think you could maybe argue the same thing. But if you're able to continue to stack these guys up and maybe eventually, whether it's Jimmy Crooks or Baez or maybe it's Prieto or Blaze Jordan, Rodriguez, like you keep adding in a couple more pieces to this mix, the lineup is really starting to look the part of what a traditional contender looks like across Major League Baseball for a team not named the LA Dodgers. This is what it should start to look like as you continue to develop guys. And it's also why I'm really glad they didn't trade him. Yep. I'm glad they decided to keep Alec Burleson as part of this core because I know the Blues were talking about this, like, hey, anybody over the age of 23, get out. I don't think you have to do that. I think it can be some of those late 20 guys that stick around with the early and mid 20-plus-year-old players.
I know it's a hypothetical here, so they're not here. But if he would be 2 years older, would he be in the Brendan Donovan conversation this past offseason?
Say that again?
If he would be 29 instead of 27 years old, same age as Brendan Donovan was, were we talking about trading him?
What's the club control look like? Because I think that's a big part of the conversation.
Same club control he's got right now.
Probably
not.
No.
I think he's still around.
It would have been, I think, a tougher conversation, but I think the answer still would have been
And
no.
I don't think he had the same swag as Brendan Donovan had from the last 2 years in terms of people looking at Burleson, but this might be the year to where he hits that ceiling, and that's why I bring up the age. It's why I brought up Donovan in the beginning of it, because we're talking about 27 versus 29. That fits more in line with what your timeline is if maybe you get there faster than you thought.
We've had a lot of conversations about, hey, do you sign this guy? Do you extend that guy? What's the plan? I think Alec Burleson is a guy that I would actually start to have that conversation about. Because right now, after this season, he will have 2 years remaining of club control. As of today, he's 27 years old, so you'll have him through his age 29 season. He's making $3.5 million next year. If he keeps playing like this, you're talking about a $7 million-ish player next year through the ARB process, and then he could be like $15 million in 2028. I think he's your future first baseman. I think this is your plan at that position. If he was willing to talk right now about a 5-year deal, that's something that I would start to look at doing. Now, I'm not saying do that today, but he has shown a consistency that you look for guys that you're going to extend long-term. And T-Bone, you mentioned this earlier with Ivan Herrera. You better have the plan for where they're playing position-wise. I have that plan with Burleson. He looks the part of a legit plus player at first base. He's a lefty bat that I can just keep in my lineup long-term. He is one of the very few guys on this team right now that I would actually be interested in based upon age.
Are ones that just don't get big deals, right? I mean, look at the first base market. It hasn't really moved. Alonso had to settle for a 1-year deal with the Mets before finally getting his deal with the Baltimore Orioles. First base is just one that teams kind of seem to devalue a little bit, and I disagree with it because I think a first baseman saves you from a ton of errors, right? I mean, we've seen that with Burley. You saw it with Goldschmidt when he was here the last couple of years. But teams just don't value that position. Now, he is left-handed, which I think will help him compared to some of the other guys that play the position. I just don't know that they are going to extend him. Now, I'm not saying that they wouldn't sign him when he gets to free agency. I don't see them getting him done early, though, because of the position.
If he told you, I'll sign the deal that Wilson Contreras signed with the Cardinals, 5 years, $87 million, so it's $17 per year, would you do that?
No.
I don't think I would.
I would.
I don't think he prices himself out. I don't think he goes significantly higher than that throughout the next few years process.
So 2 years from now, I think you could basically get about $17 million in the ARB system. And then you're talking about what is he going to get in free agency based upon the rising contract status of players across Major League Baseball. And is that something that you'd be willing to do? Is that something you're even interested in doing at that point in time? that it might have to be a little less than that, but I wanted to use Contreras because at the time, he wasn't exactly known as a positive defender. There were a lot of conversations about him having to move to a different position. He was also getting up there in age. His contract started at 31, which is where Burleson will be if and when he hits free agency. So you'd be basically buying out the first 3 years of his free agency seasons, which would be kind of similar to the spot that Wilson Contreras was in. So that's why I brought him up as one of those players. I also don't think that's like a crazy contract.
I don't think it's a crazy contract either. I think with him, you just play through the arbitration system. I think it's position based, right? First base just not a valued position across the sport, and
which I think is fair. I disagree on that. I do think it's reasonable because it's the least valuable defensive position on the field.
See, I disagree on that because now it's not the most valuable. I'm not trying to say that, but I mean, these guys save a ton of errors if you've got a great first baseman.
Sure, so does everybody else.
No. What I'm saying is like a guy that like Gorman's throw yesterday on that ground ball by Machado, bad first baseman. That's an error. You're talking about a guy in scoring position.
Agreed, but it's more important to have the guy that makes that throw than it is to make the catch because you can have more players that can make that catch.
Boy, I don't know. Jose Martinez was a rough first baseman for a lot of years.
But there's an outlier for everything. Like first base is just defensively the least valuable position.
I don't know
really
because
valuable.
You can also move guys there later on in their career. Like Ivan Herrera, if it doesn't work for him behind the plate, he can just play first base most likely.
See, I wouldn't be as confident in that. I know Contreras made it look easy. Martinez is the perfect test case.
Sure, but it doesn't work. That is one example. There are many examples of guys that over the years have become totally playable first basemen.
Yeah, see, I think you need an above average first baseman.
What do you think is the least valuable defensive position?
I don't know that there's a significant one. Probably it's
designated hitter.
Probably left field would be the one that I would say.
You think left field is less valuable than first base?
I think first base is significantly valuable because of the errors that it just saves you on, as I've been mentioning.
So what would you put first base over defensively?
I would have it probably right there with left field, and then second base. I would probably say second base is one that I would argue is just less valuable.
I think I'd have first base over second base too.
I would not.
And the reason I say this is because it's just short throws, right? I mean, now, yes, you got to have an athletic second baseman, but it's the shorter throws. So
there are fewer people in my mind that can play second base than can play first.
Oh, I would disagree. I think there's fewer people that can play first base. I think it's harder to play first base. Yeah, I mean, just picking it over there at that corner there.
Then why don't they put their old players at second? Major League Baseball teams always put their old guys at
some
first.
range. I think that's the thing that they just need to value.
At first? Yeah, because it's not as hard.
I think it's a valuable position, though. Like, I wouldn't devalue first
value
base.
Is different. I do think you cover a lot of warts from your
because we can say
third base and shortstop
position in Major League Baseball is valuable.
We can say,
there's
by the
value in everything.
Well, just get the guys that make the throw to first base. Well, it's not even most major leaguers can make a throw to first base. It's about the ones where they're like ranging to their left and they're throwing on the run and the ball's got to bounce because they can't get a lot on it. And then it comes down to who's the guy that actually saves your bacon on that play? It's not the third baseman. He makes the first part of that look easy. It's the first baseman that saves your bacon and prevents that and makes that an out compared to either being safe or getting by him and having the guy at second base.
He's T1, that's Alex, I'm BK. Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll talk to Brad Thompson. I'll get his thoughts on this coming up here in just a little bit. But next, is there anyone on the free agent market that could actually make sense for the St. Louis Blues this offseason? I think the answer is probably no. We'll get into that next year on 101 ESPN. The Blues right now are slated to have about $16 million in cap space next year. Now, they have to add another depth forward. They've got to add another depth defenseman. That'll replace Sonny and Hall on the current roster. Now, one of those guys might be Juracek. The other one might be Carbonneau, which is basically $2 million. All right, you're down to $14 million, Alex. They also need RFA tenders to sign with Berggren and Kessel. Okay, add another couple $1 million. Cool. You've got at least about $10 million to spend this offseason if you want to go out and make some moves, which means you have plenty of money to spend if you want to go out to free agency. And then today, The Athletic put out their rankings of the top free agents on the market. Chris Johnston put this out there. This is based upon what he believes teams will value these players as. I'll give you the top 10 real quick. Number 1, right-handed defenseman Darren Radish. Number 2, right-handed defenseman Rasmus Anderson. Number 3, Alex Tuck, right winger. Number 4, 36-year-old defenseman John Carlson. Oh boy, here we go. Number 5, Sergei Bobrovsky. He's 100. Number 6, Evgeny Malkin. He's 120. Number 7, Charlie Coyle. He's 80.
Jesus, man.
Number 8, Bobby McMahon.
This is like
we've had conversations about him before.
Like
29-year-old winger.
ARP card list.
Number 9, Stuart Skinner, who Alex wanted no part of. 27-year-old goalie.
Proven
and
correct.
number 10, Jacob Trouba, who, boy, did the New York Rangers seem to want to get rid of him.
He's good for Anaheim, though. I thought. Still, as BK would put it, 82.
That's not exactly a who's who of under the age of 30 free agents, Alex.
No, it is not.
Is there anybody in this market that you look at and you're like, man, that'd be an interesting signing for the St. Louis Blues, or do you just avoid it entirely this offseason?
It is all caps, HE double hockey sticks, no. Hell no. Now, there's one scenario that I would at least consider, but you got to work a little bit here.
Ovechkin.
No, hell, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
but there's no chance he's doing that. It's either Russia or Washington. If you decide to trade Colton Parayko, I would call up Jamie Alexiak. My big boy. My big boy. He's a free agent.
We are back.
We're back,
full
ladies
circle.
and gentlemen. He's a free agent. Now, I'm only going down the path of like
Is Ross Colton a free agent too?
No, we don't want that. He's not that good anymore. No, I mean,
Jamie Alexiak's killing it.
He was their best defenseman on Seattle. Now, not saying a whole lot, but he was their best defenseman in Seattle. The only reason I'm saying this is if there's true value for Parayko, which I think there will be because you just listed that list of defensemen.
Well, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was about to interrupt, and I truly apologize. Go ahead.
No,
sorry.
I think teams will call for Parayko. I don't know if anybody pays what the Blues would say, but if they were to do it and the Blues said, cool, we just got better by trading Parayko, I could see you calling Alexiak and being like, we need a stable second pair defenseman that is big, that can play defensively and be a shutdown player for us. He's 33, so what is he, 1 year older than Colton Parayko? He doesn't provide a whole lot of offense, but he's good defensively. That would at least be something I'd consider. But again, I'm not going to this once free agency opens and be like, we want you for $6 million a year. This would have to be Colton Parayko is moved, and we have to find a replacement for him.
What I was going to say on this when I was rudely interrupting Alex is I look at the top of the market. I actually do think there's some pretty good defensemen on the market this year. Not great, but like Darren Radish is a solid player. Rasmus Anderson is a guy that a lot of teams have valued over the last few seasons. John Carlson, yes, he's getting up there in age, but that's still a good defenseman that can come in and help a team. I think where this market is lacking is twofold. One, center, and two, there are just not a whole lot of wingers that can get you any kind of a scoring punch on this year's market. I would actually look toward the Blues with whether it's, I don't know, going to
Just
a Jordan Kyrou or a Pavel Buchnevich, or I think this one might be really interesting as well, Alex. What's Pius Suter's market going to be this offseason?
Yeah.
Because he can play a little bit of anything for you. He can fit every team in the NHL, and he doesn't have any no-trade protection.
I just kind of think he's probably not going to get valued as much as we're expecting because he wasn't really valued last year's market.
Maybe. You know who could maybe value Pius Suter, though? Edmonton. That's a team that I'd be looking at and be like, hey, you guys want a second-round pick, or do you want Pius Suter this offseason?
I actually think the Blues might value him more than that, more than what you'd get from on the market, just because after Neighbors, you don't have another center. Or after Dvorsky, you don't have another center. And I think they'd probably look at this as like, unless you were able to acquire a center, which that could make a little bit of a difference for you. But I hear what you're saying. I think Kyrou becomes the most valuable in this sense because, like, there's nobody, with the exception of Alex Tuck, who you're either paying $14 million for or he's going to be a Buffalo Sabre. There's nothing on this market that, one, gets you excited for the now, and two, you look at and you're like, hey, he could be a part of our future too. Because Kyra's 26, he's $8 million, which is a steal compared to what some of these guys might get paid. I'm with you there. I actually do wonder, though, defensively, like, yes, there's some good guys out there, but these are guys that could probably only help you win right now. Like, I'm not 100% sold on Darren Radish. He had a incredible season this year, but he's 30, and he had never done this before, and I wonder how much of that is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Anderson is a good one, but Anderson struggled in Vegas since he's been there. And then Carlson's one of those guys that you sign because you're going to win a cup now. Like, that's where I wonder if a team says, hey, like, we need help defensively for the next 3-4 years. That's where Colton Parayko comes into play.
You thought that Chandler Stevenson got overpaid? Just wait until you see this market and what some of these mid players
That's the
are
other
going
thing
to
that
get.
makes Parayko valuable, though, is because of that contract.
This Darren Radish is probably going to go north of $8 million because of what he just did. And I have a feeling it will be very Chandler Stevenson-esque to where it's like, oh, that's not going to help us.
Blues forward prospect Justin Carbonneau joining us coming up at 1 o'clock. But next, Brad Thompson, Cardinals analyst here on 101 ESPN.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Harkey with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Both the 1 seeds in the NBA playoffs get the job done last night as the Thunder beat the Lakers 125-107, and the Pistons took on the Cavs and beat them 107-97. Your Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and cooling air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. We've got Eric on the board with us today as well. And right now we're going out to the Calder and Thompson hotline to be joined by the Cardinals analyst, Brad Thompson, here on 101 ESPN. BT, are you out in San Diego, or what's the schedule look like for you as they're seemingly on a different network every night in this series? BT.
He said, I'm not in San Diego, and I don't want to be on this phone call right now.
He said, we'll talk about this next week.
Tunnel.
We'll see if we can get Brad Thompson back on the line here momentarily on BK
It's
and Ferrario.
beautiful out here today, though, in St. Louis. So what do you need to be in San Diego
It's
for?
beautiful right now. I think it's supposed to rain tonight
I
again.
don't know, dude. I got all these projects that I'm trying to do, and it keeps raining.
At some point, I would like for us to just have a 1 week stretch where
it
it's
feels
nice
like spring.
outside. It feels like spring, and you can just go, like, especially for those of us with young kids, you can just go to the park every night for a week.
Yeah.
Just 1 week. That's all I'm asking, because we know sooner rather than later it's going to be 100 degrees outside. It's going to be absolutely miserable, and you'll get like 3 days of spring.
What do you do with Luca? You can't like cage that animal up in the daytime, right? Like you gotta keep him outside so he's not feral.
Yesterday we went over to Kara's parents' place, and he was just hammering the baseball in their living room. It was a miracle he didn't break their TV.
Where grandparents have breakable things left and right, so that's the way to do it.
All right, Brad Thompson back on the line here on 101 ESPN. BT, we asked the question before we lost you there. Are you out in San Diego, or what's your schedule look like with like 6 different networks over the next 4 days?
Oh, guys, who on earth would want to be in San Diego? Are you kidding me?
Great
that
point.
place is awful. No, I am not. I am here in St. Louis. I will be meeting the team Monday in Sacramento. So we, as you guys know, we only have one of the games on our broadcast. That's Sunday. And our guy Sweendog lives in San Diego, so it makes the most sense for him to probably do the San Diego game. So, no, I will be back. So I am just like you guys, man. I'm fanning, I'm watching, and continuing to be impressed by this young Cardinal team.
Wouldn't trade that Sacramento series for the world.
Absolutely
All right, BT,
not.
Let's talk about it. Last night was a fun game, man. That almost felt like a playoff-style game where you had 2 pitchers that were shoving, and then they get pulled early to get aggressive and go to the bullpen. A 2-1 game in the end, 45,000 in the stands. What was your biggest takeaway from the Cardinals' win in San Diego last night?
It continues to be the fact that they do it in different ways. Like to me, that's the most impressive part is they just keep figuring out ways to win ball games. So, like in that one, look, a battle of the bullpens, especially before you get to innings 8 and 9, had not necessarily been like the biggest strength of this Cardinal team. So to have a game like that, like you mentioned, both starters, they go 6, they get pulled. To be able to, the big inning for me was Soriano's inning, where he is able to get it to JoJo, get it to Riley O'Brien. I love that. But to me is the pitching lately has been one of the biggest takeaways, especially your run for the starters. I know going into Palante's start the other day, and I know he gave up 5, 4 of which in the first inning, but they had a run of about 9 or 10 games where they had a sub-3 ERA for their starters. Like, that was impressive to me to be able to win against a tough ball club like that. And I realized that the Padres offense has not been humming here as of late, especially at home for some reason, has not been humming. But to be able to take them down in that sort of a fashion in a 2-1 game, it just shows that this group is tough, man. There might be a young team, but they can play a tight game and they don't shoot themselves in the foot.
BT, for Liberatore specifically, last season, he looked great early on, and then it started to flame out a little bit, and you assumed it was exhaustion just from that first time being a starter from the beginning of the season to the end. At what point this season do you look at it and say, like, okay, now is where he's going to have to push through that wall and see if he's got the stamina to go the full season as the starter?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a date on the calendar that I'm like circling. And for a lot of starters, it'll happen at different times. But you kind of look at the dog days of the summer, right? You get in the middle of things in July and August, and it's like, okay, what do you have to finish and get over the hump? How can you be your best in September? And I think that'll be something that Libby, along with the rest of this young starting staff, because even the guy that's not the youngest guy in the rotation, a guy, Dustin May, he doesn't have that many starts under his belt either with all of the injuries that he's had. So that'll be a big thing looking at the entire starter base of kind of how do they maintain and then how do they get over the hump. But for Libby, having that year last year and being able to start as many games as he did and set career highs in innings, like you learn from that. You learn what your body needs. You learn how you recover. You learn how to execute even on the days when your stuff isn't the sharpest. So I feel like that was such a great learning season for Libby. And to your point, Alex, look, the beginning of it was better than the end of it. He started out, I believe the first 12 starts were awesome, had to battle through a little bit in the second half. But you learn from those experiences, and that's why organizationally, when you have the opportunity to give your young guys a chance like that, you do it. You let them go run with it, and the idea is so they can set you up for the future. And that was the thought with Libby, and that's panning out for them now.
BT, we were talking about this just a little bit ago with Alec Burleson. He hit the home run last night. He's been awesome for the Cardinals so far this season. On pace now for 40 doubles, 25 homers, and 130 ribbies. Only guys at his age that had at least 40, 25, and 100 over the last 5 years are Vlad, Bobby Witt, Matt Olson, and Ozzie Albies. So a pretty good list to potentially be on this season. He's got another.
Send that to his agent.
Well, that gets us to the conversation. He's got a couple of years left still under contract, but he could potentially get expensive sooner rather than later through the ARB process. I don't think the answer to this is right now, but is he a guy that you would consider looking at extending in the next 3 to 6 months?
Man, it's so hard to say because they have this conversation, but like they have decisions to make, or at least could have decisions to make on so many different young players. Burley, I believe he's 27 years old, I think, at this point. I will say this. I don't know how they're looking at him internally about like the future. I know this. He's great in the room. He's a perfect like combination of veteran / young guy, and he helps your offense and any offense immensely. And he plays at a position where you're not going to have a ton of wear and tear. I think he'll age really well over at first base. So it just comes down to, like it does with every single deal, right? It comes down to value. Like, does the organization believe that they could buy out a couple of years of free agency at what would be a value to them, knowing that Burley is going to get paid? Would it make sense on his end? Like these are always gambles when you're talking about going out and signing a guy early. But I know this. I know internally they love him. I also know externally a lot of teams love him. I've had different teams call me to ask about him, like just getting background on a player. And like that's just kind of what the market. Everybody loves this dude. So the idea of him being a part of the future for them, I think they would love that idea. I don't know what that looks like though. When you guys were kicking around, where did you land?
I would do it. I find him to be such an important piece to what they're building. I know he's 27, but it's not like that's 35. You know, first baseman can be really good for a long time. And then you look at the way that he profiles as a hitter, he's become a really well-rounded player right now at the plate. He's walking more. He's still not striking out. So I would do it. And I think that the guy that you'd probably look at as a comparison for the contract would be Wilson Contreras, who, yeah, I know he was a catcher when he signed, but there was always a chance he moved over to first base. So if you're talking about like $15 to $17 million a year, somewhere in that range of like a 5-year contract, I think that makes a lot of sense for the Cardinals because it's not as though they've got a lot of money on the books for future seasons.
No, they really don't have anything at all on the books for the future season. So it's definitely a doable one. I would think that a deal like that too, and I'm not speaking for him, but I think that would be very intriguing and enticing for Alec Burleson. Like I feel like the next year is going to be a very interesting one, as we all know. Like the thing that we don't all talk about because you don't want to, because you like you like baseball and being played, is the CBA coming up, right? If you lose any time in the next year, you worry about the dynamics of what that looks like financially for all these clubs. So I wonder what the appetite is going to be like for teams to sign these deals. We saw the Pirates do it with their young stud shortstop. You saw the Tiger do it with McGonigal. I believe the Seattle did it with one of their young dudes. Like there are some teams locking players up now. It just kind of depends on organizationally how you think about what the future looks like.
So speaking of the future, BT, you know, we've talked about this a little bit, and it's still early on in the season to where you get to this point, but if you're Chaim Bloom and you see what this team is doing, exceeding what the expectations were at the beginning of the year, how do you balance looking at it saying, capitalize on what we've got right now with these guys all performing versus, look, stick to the plan and make sure you continue to accumulate as many assets as possible?
Well, I'm glad that I don't have the big office with a situation like that, right? Come trade deadline, although I wouldn't mind big office paycheck. But when you're looking at it, look, the one thing that I think for many Cardinal fans that really sticks out about Chaim Bloom has been his honesty through the process, right? And saying and basically telling the fan base what they are attempting to build. Like what are they organizationally trying to do? Without speaking for somebody, but just like reading his plans, I think you stick with the plan. I think that you continue the look towards the future. I think the eyes have to continue to be towards the future. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't make deals that can serve you in the here and now and the future as well. Like different guys that are going to come up, I'm sure, in conversation around trade deadline time is going to be your back end of the bullpen. I'm sure that Riley O'Brien's going to come up. I'm sure that JoJo Romero is going to come up. Like those will be difficult decisions organizationally to make, but you can always make deals that plug a gap and set you up for the future, whether it's the back end of the pen or it's a position, whatever it is. I feel like you can do a little bit of both, but I would be shocked if he reversed course, if organizationally they was like, we'll go for it now. Like, it just doesn't seem like they would do that. It wouldn't seem like a smart business move to kind of sell out for the here and now when you have future plans trying to set you up for success for a long time.
BT, the Cardinals are 22-15. It's been a lot of fun to watch so far. We'll continue watching over on Cardinals TV as the Cardinals have 3 more games in San Diego, and then you get to see BT on the call for the Cardinals versus the Athletics in a minor league baseball stadium next week. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. BT, we'll talk with you after that coming up next Friday here on BK and Ferrario. Appreciate the time as always, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me. And the jealousy that you guys have, and I can hear it in your voice, the fact that I'm going to Sacramento. Yeah. Look, I will send pictures and I'll get you a postcard, okay? Don't be jealous.
And send it to the station.
Guys.
Take it easy. That's BT. Appreciate the time as always here on 101 ESPN, man. Sacramento, what a trip.
I'm sure.
To be fair, I'm sure some people say that about St. Louis, right?
I'm sure a lot of people say that about St. Louis, especially probably in Sacramento. Be like, St. Louis, what a trip. Am I right? We just wish it was in Vegas rather than Sacramento.
Sure. Like if you're
be a much better spot to be in.
I'm trying to think here. So, like next week, the Royals broadcasters are going from Chicago to St. Louis. Imagine if you were the one that was on the trip going to Chicago and the other guy was on the trip going to St. Louis. Like they're probably saying the same
pick the Royals.
Well, I was just looking at the Cardinals schedule to see who the team was that's coming up next here in the city. I would say St. Louis is better than Sacramento, though. Right?
I've never been to Sacramento, and I have no interest in going to Sacramento, so yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I agree. The same way I view it.
That'd be like one of the least desirable spots to go in California, and I don't really know how much I'd want to go.
Stop in the Major League Baseball
schedule. Good question.
I'd take away the minor league ballpark of the A's.
I think that's fair. If you're including like the city plus the ballpark,
because like the Tampa Bay Rays ballpark sucks, but you're in Florida.
Asking.
Like it couldn't be any better than that. At least
I don't know if you want to be in Florida though in the summertime.
Cleveland,
that's fair. I kind of like Cleveland though. Cleveland's kind of nice.
I did not like
every city has its perks.
I did not like Cleveland when I went, so I would say Cleveland.
Cleveland, Cincinnati.
I would put the Texas ones.
Dallas.
Yeah. That range, maybe
Houston's
not. Maybe
cool.
not.
Houston's
Dallas.
cool.
I did not like Houston. I did not enjoy Houston. That ballpark stinks, in my opinion.
Like stinks, or is just bad?
Both.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
It's super hot in there. Like
You
there's no
liked
air moving
Cleveland
through.
and Cincinnati more than you liked Dallas or Houston.
I did not like
I would take
Cleveland.
out
Everybody's got
Dallas.
their thing,
I
yeah.
think Dallas, Texas's ballpark is actually beautiful, and Dallas is nice. I enjoyed Dallas, so I would take that one out. I happened to see them and then connect the dots to Houston. I did not enjoy Houston. I would not want to go back there.
I would say the place that I would be least likely to go is Cleveland.
I think
Out
that
of
would be
all of the
mine.
major league ballparks, that
I'd go
you
to
can include, like,
Cincinnati
a
before
weekend trip.
Cleveland.
I agree.
Yeah, I think Cleveland. My sister lived there for a couple of years and did not enjoy it anytime I went up to visit her. So
I think that's 100% fair.
What's the number one place on your bucket list? Ballpark that you want to go to?
mine would be Boston.
Mine would probably be
Fenway?
San Diego. I haven't been to Boston. Would be a.
I did
up on my
TD Garden
list.
when we went for the
Oh, that's cool.
Game 7, so it's like I'd love to be able to do Fenway and see that as well.
Yeah, I would love to do like just a trip up the coast of San Francisco, hit like San Fran, San Diego, LA.
I'd like to do
That would be
Arizona,
huge.
but only if I could be in the pool. Like that's the only
I've been watching a lot of
stipulation.
Blippi lately.
Lot of
Boy,
what?
do I
Lot of
not
Blippi?
enjoy that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want to talk about the worst show for kids? Oh my
What the hell is
god,
Blippi?
dude! Don't
it's-
feel blessed that you don't have to.
Yeah,
know.
that's why we do Danny Go before we do Blippi.
Yeah, I wish we could.
We're
Boy,
into
is
Danny
it
Go.
awful.
My youngest is into Blues Clues now, so that's really fun because I enjoyed that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So now I get to watch that. So yeah, I've avoided Blippi. Thank
Anyways,
God.
the reason I bring it up is because he went down to Arizona to do a tour of Chase Field, so I know everything there is to know about the Arizona Stadium. I would say for me, the one that is at the top of my list, I've got two of them. It's San Francisco and Baltimore. Those are the two ballparks that I would most want
Baltimore's
to
a
get
good
to
one.
right now.
Yeah, Baltimore's a good one.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll be joined by Justin Carbonneau, Blues forward prospect. But next, Junk Shore here on 101 ESPN. From the 314, Alex, what's been more annoying today? Dealing with that microphone that keeps bumping up, or BK almost dying next to you in the last segment?
Microphone. It just always seems to hit me right in the mouth. But BK dying next to me, full disclosure, I didn't think he died. I thought he had an accident in his pants. Jumped up and grabbed his butt, and I'm like, what happened, man? Need to get out of here.
Cramped up in my hamstring during that interview with BT. I thought I was about to fall on the ground. I thought it was going to have to be you, T-Bone, and Eric doing the rest of the interview, because it was game over for me there for a moment.
I was just thinking, it's like, dude, you need to get out of the room before you make the whole thing smell, so get out fast. And then you pointed to your leg, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Pilates kicked my ass yesterday,
I can tell.
and boy, I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Those bridges, man, they're no joke.
He asked the question. I was looking at my laptop, and all I heard was his chair really shoot up and make a noise. I looked over, and I see him, like you're saying, grabbing at his butt.
Well,
I knew he cramped right away, because I knew that had to be what had
He
happened.
immediately grabbed behind him, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, dude. But if you got to leave the room, leave the room.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone.
Been there
I'm
before.
BK. Coming up next, Blues forward prospect Justin Carbonneau here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. Happy to go out to the Calder and Thompson hotline to be joined by the newest member of the Springfield Thunderbirds, as last night they advance in the AHL playoffs. It's the biggest upset by points in the history of the AHL playoffs. Forward Justin Carbonneau joining us now here on 101 ESPN. Justin, good to talk with you again. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good, pretty good.
What was that like for you? You jump in, you get on board with the Springfield Thunderbirds. Your first game with them is a potential elimination opportunity against what was the best team this year in the AHL. What was last night like for you?
Yeah, not bad for first game, eh? No, it was great. I got to meet some players I didn't meet before at training camp. So no, it was just a good, fun first experience, and to get a huge win like that, it was just really exciting.
Justin, take me through just the emotional highs and lows of the last couple of days, because you have the game winner with 0.3 seconds in your juniors game that sends it to game 7. You guys lose game 7, and then immediately you hop on a plane to join the Thunderbirds. Like, did you know you were headed to the Thunderbirds once that series was over, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, it was kind of like you said, highs and lows, because, we lost game 7, and, I was part of a group that, I was there for 4 years. So I built something with my teammates at the Armada. So to lose in game 7 was kind of like painful a little bit, but then to get the call that I was going up with Thunderbirds, I was pretty happy about it. It kind of got me, it left me on hungry, I would say, after game 7. So just to get a call and to play here is just a great opportunity. And, just super excited to try to help the team win.
Justin, I remember you talking with us at training camp, and, at the time you were deciding between college and juniors, and you ultimately chose to go back to the juniors. Did you accomplish yourself in terms of individual strengths what you were hoping to do back in the juniors this season?
Yeah, 100%. I came back. I just wanted to make sure my, my 200 feet game take a step. And I think I did. I work with my coaches. I work with development staff as well with St. Louis. They helped me getting my my pro details game next level. And I think I did this year. I think team-wise, the ultimate goal was to win. So let's say I didn't accomplish that, and that's something I have to live with. But that's just learnings. I think that once I get another chance to win something, I won't let it slip away like I just did. So, but yeah, I think my 200 feet game got better. But as a team to not win was kind of hard.
We're talking to Justin Carbonneau here on 101 ESPN. So now, I know it's only one game. It's so hard to make too much of it. But what did you think of your game translating to the AHL level last night? Is there anything that you learned in that first taste of it?
Yeah, for sure. I think that a lot of guys in the locker room had tried to help me for my first game. They gave me some good advice, but it's different because you play against some older guys, so you have to make sure you make some hard plays and you play quick, and that's just a little bit of adjustment. But I think that I'm not far away for the level of competition. It's always, like I said, a little adjustment, breakout wise and everything. But I think I'm ready for it, and I just need to make sure I keep it simple and I work hard.
Was there any difference for you, Justin, just in terms of playoff atmosphere when it comes to juniors level versus playoff atmosphere at the AHL level?
Yeah, I think yesterday was incredible. The fans really, just brought a lot of energy to the team, and to win in overtime in front of them, it was really a really cool moment. But no, just every time you get a good hit or you get a scoring chance, just to hear the fans, it's just a lot of energy that the team has.
I'm sure you had some opportunities to be around with Steve Ott while you were at camp with the St. Louis Blues, but now with him taking over with the Springfield Thunderbirds, what was your first impression of him now as a head coach with that group?
Yeah, I just been here for a day, but, I think, he's been great. I think he turned the team around a little bit during the season. But no, I met with him, and, he told me that he's going to try to help me to get to the next level and do everything he can to make me progress in that league. So, no, he's been great, and it's great to have him as a coach.
You're not there yet, Justin, because we hope that this is all the way up to the Calder Cup final and you guys win the championship this year. But how different will this offseason be for you now that you know the team that you're a part of, what training camp experience is like? You just got a taste of pro hockey at the American Hockey League level versus what training camp was or the offseason was like for you last year.
Yeah, I think that, now it's more like for me, my off season is more to get ready for pro. It's a different mindset. It's a better mindset, I think, that I'm getting into. Last off season I wasn't really 100% as well, so I kind of had to, and I had a lot of stuff going on as well with World Junior Camp and then Combine and everything. So my summer was really short, but I think this off season I'm gonna try to, first of all, get as far as possible and possibly win the Calder Cup. But after that, when the off season starts, it's just more like take every opportunity to get better and make sure I arrive with a good shape and ready to go for next season.
You mentioned trying to improve that 200-foot game going into last season. Is there anything in particular as you look forward that you're trying to work on this offseason prior to camp next year?
I think for me, it's always there's not one thing you can improve. In the gym and then on the ice, it's always about skating wise, getting faster, stronger on my feet, and stuff like that. Because you get ready to play against older guys and bigger guys and stuff like that. So I think those two things are things that I have to keep working on.
Justin, when you look around, too, for this Thunderbirds team, you got guys like Otto Stenberg, and I know Lindstein didn't play last night, but with Lindstein and Adam Juracek, does that get you excited a little bit more, too, when you look and see these guys that could possibly be playing with you on the Blues next season?
Yeah, I mean, they're really good players. I've watched them play at training camp and also now to play with them here in Springfield. It's really nice. And, they're good players and they have a lot of talent. So I think for Blues fans, it's really exciting for sure.
And Blues fans have seen a decent amount of Stenberg and Lindstein with him coming up here this season. Most of them have not seen a whole lot of Adam Juracek, though. You got to see him in person last night as part of that game for the Thunderbirds. What can you tell Blues fans about what you learned about his game? I know it's a limited opportunity with just that one game, but what'd you learn about him last night and what you've seen from him so far?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like offensively he can create a lot. I saw him at the blue line being really more confident the more the game was going on. I saw him throw a couple of good hits. So, no, he's making plays that I think that not a lot of guys can do. He's really exciting to watch on the blue line.
Obviously, the goals are exciting, Justin, but I got to tell you, watching the game last night, I saw a couple of post-whistle scrums where guys tried to get an extra shot on you or an extra shove, and, man, you bite back faster than anybody. So I would assume that level of your game is all ready for the pro level, correct?
Yeah, I'm not trying to be the guy who's always in the scrum, but I play with some fire, so I'm not gonna step down in front of anyone. You have to be careful not to take a penalty or whatever. But I play with fire and I compete, so that can happen.
Well, the good news, your coach Steve Ott played with fire as well at the NHL level, so that's the perfect guy to be around to get that stuff. Justin, man, we appreciate you hopping on with a super busy schedule, man. Congrats on the series win. Good luck in this next series, and we look forward to hopefully talking to you guys after you win the Calder Trophy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
You got it. That's Justin Carbonneau, Blues forward, joining us here on 101 ESPN. Made his debut last night for the Springfield Thunderbirds, and in that debut, he and Adam Juracek helped the Springfield Thunderbirds advance to the next round of the playoffs, taking down what was the best team in the AHL this season in the Providence Bruins. The Springfield Thunderbirds now advance, and you'll have an opportunity to continue to hear those games right here on 101 ESPN as the Thunderbirds will take on the Penguins starting on May 12th, again, right here on 101 ESPN.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see kind of him continue to develop. I mean, he immediately last night got chances on that number one power play unit. And I mean, this is a team that's in the playoffs right now that was trying to make it to the next round, and they put Justin Carbonneau right on the number one power play unit, which goes to show you the expectation of what he can provide. And he had a couple of looks that just didn't go in for him, but I'll be fascinated to see what a full series looks like with him, a little bit more comfort now at the AHL level. And man, the training camp for him is going to be so interesting because, like he mentioned, not only was he trying to decide between do I go to college, do I go to juniors, he was also auditioning for that World Juniors team, which, remember, he missed out on kind of last second. So that was a burr in his saddle as well. So now you have none of that to worry about. It's either NHL or AHL. And just once again, hearing him talk, he sounds like a motivated individual. So I don't know if he makes the team. I think he's going to have as good of shot as any of these prospects to make the roster out of camp next season.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. In 15 minutes, we'll get into one's got to go. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get those in. Also, if you want to hear our full interview with Justin Carbonneau, maybe you came in a little bit late, you missed some of it, you can check that out after the show today at 101ESPN.com and the free 101 ESPN app. Those podcasts are all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That's also where you can go to find our interview with Brad Thompson, our conversation with Mike McKenna, and you'll see the latest edition of both the Redbird Report and the Last Minute Blues podcast over there as well. Coming up next, what are the St. Louis Cardinals going to do about their third base situation right now? We'll get into that next year on 101 ESPN.
Good stuff, T-Bone.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Did you know you were on air there?
I did not.
Well, he has said good stuff, T-Bone, so that's what the people needed to hear.
People need to know that T-Bone does a good job. You don't do enough
you don't
congratulating him
like that
on
when
it,
we
so
come
I need to
back
make
from
sure he
break.
gets that.
I need to be better. That's on me. The Cardinals back in action this evening against the San Diego Padres. Padres have 3 more right-handed pitchers who will be on the mound over the next few days. I'm curious to see what the lineup looks like tonight, boys. And the reason is because this is an opportunity, depending on what they decide to do. But my guess is you will probably see Ivan Herrera back behind the plate. Do you agree with that as the starting point?
Yeah.
Michael McGreevy on the mound, Ivan Herrera typically behind the plate.
I believe so.
Unless you invest in T-Bone's theory of he's done as a catcher.
Tinfoil.
Sorry. Tinfoil. I forgot to put that.
Do you guys think we'll see Cesar Prieto in the lineup tonight?
Yeah, I think so. I third base would be the spot that I would assume you'd play him at,
Or
especially
DH.
or DH. But yeah, I wonder if it's third base for how Nolan Gorman struggled last night.
And that's what I wanted to get at. Would you start, if you have both of them in the lineup tonight, would you start Gorman at third or at DH?
I'd start Gorman at DH. I think I would give Prieto an opportunity if I believe he can play that position, and I would let Nolan Gorman just focus on the offensive side of his game right now.
I would do the same thing. I would put Prieto at third. I think based on the way that they put the lineup out in that game that got rained out against Milwaukee, I think they want to see what Prieto looks like at third base. They had him slated in at third. Gorman was the DH in that game, and I think they're going to continue to do that. I also think they want to try and keep Gorman off of his feet, off of third base for a decent amount of games this year, whether that's because of his back or they just don't like his defense. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think that they're going to put Prieto at third base tonight.
That's my guess as well, and I wonder if you could see more of this as time progresses. Because Gorman just hasn't done all that much, guys. As much as I wanted to hold out hope that, hey, maybe there could be something more here, and the reason you do it is because it was possible. I mean, we've seen with Walker, it would have been totally understandable if they decided to put him off to the side. They didn't, and he's progressed into becoming, a huge contributor for them offensively. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. And that time that you give to a player could have allowed them to develop like Walker, or it could allow them to show, all right, what you've seen over the last 2 years, that's who I am. And that seems to be the case so far with Nolan Gorman. I don't know what Cesar Prieto is going to be at the major league level. It's likely he's nothing more than a utility infielder that's a nice backup coming off of the bench and probably always serves as a 4A type of a player, where he's kind of in the role similar to what you've seen from Jose Fermin so far this year, but from the left side. I think that's the most likely outcome here. But at least there's upside. He showed at AAA so far this year that he was an awesome bat down there. He was doing legit damage, and you could use him potentially in scenarios where you're seeing right-handed pitchers, especially when you have a guy like Ivan Herrera behind the plate where you've got third and DH to potentially play with. So I think I would like to see him get some more playing time, especially before Lars Nootbaar returns, to find out with this left-handed bat, what can he be? Because I think whenever Newt does come back, you're talking about either Prieto or Joel Pozo potentially losing their spot on the roster right now. I want to know what I have with him before I have to make such a decision.
Yeah, I you know what you have in Nolan Gorman. We just talked about this a little bit ago. Like, I don't need to see any more of Nolan Gorman. Like, I know he's going to be slow for you, and I know he's going to have one hot month for you. Why not see what somebody else has if he's been dominating in the minor leagues? Like, why not give it a shot? And then guess what? If it doesn't work, then you go right back to Nolan Gorman. You're going to be in the same spot that you're in. But you're right that when Lars Nootbaar becomes a player for you, well, then now you got a roster crunch. And I'd much rather know about individual players in terms of where they stand on the team versus being like, well, we had him up here and he got like 3 at-bats and we'll just move on from this.
This is interesting. I'm getting a little pushback, and that's good. A lot of people are saying, guys, I can't believe you're talking about this with Nolan Gorman, who's on pace this year for 20 home runs and 80 RBI. What would be your retort to that, if anything?
My retort to it would be 20 home runs isn't good enough for Gorman. And I know that seems kind of cruel. Man, Gorman's power, I mean, you look at what his bat did 3 years ago. I mean, that's a guy that should have been a 35 home run hitter, 40 home run hitter if everything clicked in place. And that's as a guy that didn't hit for a ton of average. So, yeah, he might be on pace for 20 home runs. His slug's not good enough, right? He's not hitting for enough power, and that's his best tool, right? I think you always have to ask yourself on a player, what are their tools? And for Gorman, the only A-plus tool I would say for him, he's about a C or B on a couple of others, like defense, for example, is his power. And his power just hasn't been there. And 20 home runs, yeah, that's nice. But for him, he's going to have to be better than that. Otherwise, there could be a guy that could take his job.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my retort to that would be he may be on pace for that, but I'd rather see what Prieto is. Like, I know what Nolan Gorman is. And if he's on pace for those 20 home runs and 80 RBI, that's great. But, I mean, he hasn't done that for you in 3 years.
But he is on pace for it right now.
Sure.
Just to play a devil's advocate.
No, I understand, but he's been inconsistent for you this season in terms of offense. Why not give a guy a shot who's doing consistent things in AAA? And guess what? This isn't me saying I'm done with Nolan Gorman this season and now it's just going to be a carousel of third basemen. If Prieto doesn't work for a few games, I go right back to Nolan Gorman.
I think you start treating this kind of like you did left field early on in the year. And the way
with
they
Church and
Sajasi, kind of what they did there, where it was,
for a little bit.
Okay, we'll kind of go 2 games, 3 games, and we'll see what it looks like. The nice part about this, though, for them here is I think they can get both of them in the lineup a decent amount, which allows you to then kind of have this as a competition, because the way they've been doing this so far this year, I mean, they were getting Urias basically 2 starts in every 5 games. And sometimes they would get a third sprinkled in there. But I think that's the way you go about it, right? You just go back to what your rotation was and you replace Urias' name with Prieto. And then on a day where McGreevy's pitching, you get to put Herrera behind the plate. Boom, you put Prieto at third base. You have Gorman DH, and then Gorman will go back to third base the next time. And then when you get back to Palante's turn in the rotation, you just put Prieto back at third and Gorman at DH. And if Prieto takes off, because that should be a decent amount of at-bats for him, as we saw with Urias, if he starts to hit and starts to play well and he looks good defensively, all right, instead of it being 2 versus 3 when it comes to starting in favor of Gorman at third base, maybe it goes 3 starts for Prieto at third base and Gorman gets 2 at third.
Well, and I can also, he's on pace for that. How many strikeouts is he on pace for?
That I don't care about.
Well, I get it, but if you're not hitting 30 home runs and you're on pace for all of these strikeouts, then what's your area of impact?
I can deal with the strikeouts if it comes with big-time production. He's not giving you big-time production. I understand what the volume statistics say, but this was always my argument with Patrick Wisdom. Patrick Wisdom was putting up home runs for the Chicago Cubs, but you looked at the overall numbers, like some of the rate stats, he was doing all of that. He was getting all of that production because he was just hitting a lot. Like, he was literally coming up to the plate a lot. And over time, if you get 500 or 600 plate appearances over the course of the season, yeah, you're going to produce, especially if you have any level of pop. But right now, the slugging percentage for Nolan Gorman is .377. To put that in context, that's roughly the same slugging percentage as Mason Wynn. But Mason Wynn is getting on base 34% of the time. Nolan Gorman is getting on base 29% of the time. And a lot of those at-bats are nothing because of those strikeouts that are coming along with him. He has 40 strikeouts so far this year and 122 at-bats. So he's striking out about 30% of the time on the season. Those are nothing burger at-bats. You get nothing out of it. There's zero value in when he comes up to the plate when that takes place for him. So, yes, he's on pace for 20 homers, and he's getting a lot of opportunities with runners in scoring position because the top of your lineup has been so outstanding, and he's been kind of in that middle spot. Well, when you get those opportunities, I would expect that you're going to come through a decent amount of time. And if you put somebody else in those spots, say Mason Wynn, what would it look like if he was getting those same chances instead of Nolan Gorman? I think you would see his RBI numbers start to bump up in a similar kind of a way. So I say all of that to say, like, I think right now Nathan Church has been a more productive major leaguer than Nolan Gorman. And Nathan Church was not expected to be that coming into the season. I'd like to see what Cesar Prieto can do for you. I'm not going all the way there. I like T-Bone's plan here. Hey, give him a couple of days a week, see what it looks like, and if it looks good, make that switch a little bit more often and give him the opportunity at least to lose this job, to lose the opportunity. But for right now, I think he's somebody that should get this chance because the next guy up is probably Blaze Jordan. If it doesn't work for Prieto right now, he probably goes back down. You end up cycling through. You get Lars Nootbaar up, and then the next injury on your infield, that's when you probably switch it. And instead of Prieto, it becomes Blaze Jordan that gets that chance here at the major league level. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. T-Bone, you mentioned this to us before the show today. Another guy that's been struggling offensively lately is Pedro Pages. I thought he was great last night. I don't really care too much about what he does offensively for you. If he's doing well behind the plate defensively, that's got to be his role. So I'm not worried about the fact that right now he's a below league average hitter, as long as that continues defensively. Because early on this season, it was bad defense mixed with bad offense. That's when it becomes a real issue for you. Do you disagree with that? Do you think that there is going to come a point in time sooner rather than later where they should look to replace Pedro Pages behind the plate?
I don't. I think long as he continues to play that good defense that you're talking about, I think that's his tool, right? Going back to the tools conversation that we had at the beginning of this, he doesn't hit. As long as he stays around where he was last year and where he's at right now, if he's about 20% below league average, but he's providing good defense and the staff trust him calling a game, yeah, that's the guy that you're going to keep behind home plate. The reason I brought this up is because I know how the fan base is going to look at this. Crooks hit another home run yesterday. He's homered in, I think it's 3 of his last 4 games down at Memphis. And I can already see the calls already starting to come back up of, hey, Jimmy Crooks, he should replace Pedro Pages. Look at Pages. He's not hitting. It's not Pages' job to hit, right? His job is to be the defensive-minded catcher. Look at the play he made last night. He helped change that 7th inning quickly. Soriano comes in, gives up a leadoff single, and that guy Tatis tries to steal second base, and Pages nabs him out at second base trying to steal, and it flipped the inning, right? He steals second base. Who knows what happens with Soriano the rest of the way? That's the kind of defense you need to continue to see from Pages, and then you can live with what his bat, whatever it ends up becoming.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll hit the rewind, but next, time for One's Gotta Go. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go here on BK and Ferrario.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Harkey with your Sports Center update brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. The NBA playoffs continue tonight as the Knicks take on the 76ers at 6 p.m., followed by the Spurs and Timberwolves at 8:30. Your Sports Center update was brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
Three 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for One's Gotta Go. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's gotta go here on BK and Ferrario. From the 417, One's Gotta Go dessert edition. A banana split, a hot fudge sundae, strawberry cheesecake. T-Bone just,
hot
wow.
Sunday. Wow.
Strawberry cheesecake or apple pie a la mode.
This is an easy one for me. Get that banana split trash out of here.
Yeah.
It's nasty. Bananas are good for one thing. Breakfast when you have no time to eat breakfast.
Damn, I like bananas.
Yeah, wow. I don't know if they had to be thrown
Wow,
to the
you would
side like
surprise
that.
me. You got no cramps over there.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think cramps,
Do you know
maybe.
kiwis are good for that too?
Really?
I'd eat,
no
I'd eat
idea.
more kiwis if kiwis weren't so expensive.
I like kiwis. I
I
like
do
them a
too.
lot.
They're just so freaking expensive.
know
Every time
if
you
I've-
walk past them in the grocery store, I'm like, nah, I'll pass.
I don't think I've ever tried a kiwi. I have no idea.
I'm
if I
not
like
in the
it or
least
not.
bit surprised by that.
I could. There's probably a massive list of vegetables and fruits you've never tried.
Yeah, like
I
dragon
think-
fruit, never had it.
Well, that, yeah.
That's a
that makes
rare
sense.
fruit for people. But
I
what
see
about
it
like
at Schnucks all
peaches?
the
I think
time.
kiwi
I've had
is a little
peaches.
bit more of a.
You ever had a plum?
Oh, I would never eat a plum. I had to drink plum. I had to drink plum juice when I was in the hospital. Oh, that was disgusting. I would never.
I'd never eat a plum.
Never.
I could go through. We should do a punishment of like foods that he's got to eat that he's never eaten before.
Just like 10 different foods.
Like every segment, this will be one of our pick-em punishments. Every segment, you're gonna have to eat a food that you've never had
have you
before.
ever had a
T-Bone.
blackberry?
No, I don't think
Have you
so.
ever had a raspberry? I'm
where I
not
was
saying
going
have you. Really?
No, I don't think so. If
You've
maybe
never
tried-
had a raspberry?
Maybe I had it when I was younger and didn't like it and don't remember.
You've had
it, and then
watermelon
just
before,
carried it
right?
over. I've had watermelon before.
Have you ever had cantaloupe?
No,
Pears.
I love pears. Yeah.
He's talked about pears. Have you ever had actual pears, or have you only had the canned pears?
No, I've had actual pears. I go and buy pears at the store.
Guy eats Kraft singles. Come on, man.
That's why I was wondering.
Sophisticated enough for pears.
Have you ever had an actual peach, or have you only had the ones out of the can?
I've had an actual peach before.
I'm just curious. 314-399-9646
Wild,
is the Air
man.
Comfort Service text line for
I
One's
had
Gotta
to eat a
Go.
plum, I quit.
I think I would go with the banana split here as well.
It's the worst of the four.
Yeah, I agree
All
with
the
that.
other ones are so much better.
From the 618, One's Gotta Go of the 4 major sports: basketball, football, hockey, and baseball.
Basketball.
Yeah. They don't play defense. They don't even try in the regular
Don't say
season.
that because they'll tell you that you don't watch
he's
it if you
wrong.
say that.
He's wrong. They play defense now. Now I'll give them credit. Also, like BK sent us a list of the injuries for the Colorado Avalanche. Not the Avalanche.
No, it
sorry.
was the Dallas Stars. Yeah.
You got guys playing through like torn hamstrings, broken bones. Meanwhile, the St. Louis native Jason Tatum, my knee's sore. I can't play Game 7. Dude,
Yeah.
it's an elimination game. Come on.
Hockey would never.
Yeah, that's fair. It's basketball because of what we do. It's the one that rates the least for us. You know, like if I didn't do this for a living, I might be giving a different answer. But given what we do for a living,
if we had an NBA team, I would have a different tune because I enjoy basketball. It's just when you don't have a team to root for, it's hard to watch.
All right, from Vizzini, One's Gotta Go: laundry, weed whacking, cleaning the bathroom, or dishes.
That is the most random One's Gotta Go we've ever had.
Household chores, basically.
It's easy for me.
Cleaning the bathroom easily.
Oh, mine's laundry. Just because I got to drive to another place and I hate it.
yeah.
You got to give up like basically an hour and a half of your day while you're doing that. I'm out. Get rid of laundry.
Mine's probably laundry. I hate that so much. Cleaning the bathroom doesn't take as long as taking laundry.
By the way, we've had a number of people on the text line say, T-Bone, are you mixing up prune juice and
Yeah, he is. I've never heard of
Plums.
plum juice before in my life.
You definitely had prune juice, didn't you?
Yeah, prune juice helps you poop.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Those are just nasty raisins.
Oh, yeah.
When he said plum juice, I'm like, who has ever drank plum
they
juice
had to give
before?
that to me so I could go number 2 before I left the hospital, and I said, I'm just good. I'll stay here. This stuff's disgusting.
You ever had cranberries?
No.
Oh, good question.
No.
You've never had cranberries like
cranberry
a
juice, but
He
never
said that like I already asked it, and he didn't realize it was
you did?
What about
blackberries and
cranberry
raspberries.
sauce for Thanksgiving?
Oh, that's just
That's
disgusting. When it
disgusting.
comes out of the
Yeah.
can and plop.
When my wife has had to like drink cranberry juice before.
I like cranberry juice.
God,
For you two
I don't
guys?
mind. I
I've
don't mind
seen her
cranberry juice.
You don't like cranberry juice?
Oh God, no! Especially
I
like
don't
the
mind- I
raw
don't mind
stuff. Ooh,
cranberry
it's
juice.
rough.
Just never had a cranberry. I assume I'd probably like it.
I don't know, man. I would assume you kind of dislike everything that has color.
True.
If it's something other than white, brown, or gray, I assume that T-Bone's probably not going to like it.
Wow.
Anything green, red, purple.
Anything that grows from the ground.
Blueberries? Have you ever had a blueberry before?
No.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
You've never had a blueberry?
I think those are disgusting. I think I've had them, but when I was really, really young, so I just assume I don't like them.
If it grows out of the ground, T-Bone doesn't eat it.
Do you eat fruit?
Yeah, I like bananas, apples. I mean, we mentioned pears earlier.
Again, tan, white, brown, gray.
Corn's yellow. Green beans are green. Those are my favorites.
Do you like actual
I
green
do like
beans?
asparagus. Yeah, that's one of those.
Do you
that
like
I've really
actual
gotten
green beans or canned green beans?
into. Canned.
Broccoli?
That one I'm going to try and get more
chance.
into.
No chance. I'm
It's
gonna
been a
try
long
and
time.
get more
I
into it.
saw a great recipe on my Instagram feed when I was scrolling through that, and it looked delicious. A broccoli cheddar soup. I was like, all right, I might make that in the winter.
It's gotta be.
He's
it's
gonna have
gotta be
Velveeta
stuffed with
cheese.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be
defeats
soft.
the purpose.
Carrots, by the way, don't
man.
give me those things if they're not cooked.
Oh,
if they
God.
are hard,
You need to go to
disgusting.
Victory Men's Health and check out where all your micronutrient
no.
Maybe
levels
we
are
should
at.
do
It
that
would
as
be
a bit.
horrifying.
We should do that as a bit.
It is better if we don't know.
We should do that as a bit to see where his stuff's at.
Why are you sounding like my mom over there, Brandon?
I'm worried about you, brother.
Just said don't eat carrots
You're getting
unless they're.
closer to the age of 30, and let me tell you, stuff changes.
He said.
I know. I saw you earlier.
He said
It's wild.
He said don't eat carrots unless they're soaked in butter and covered in salt.
Those things are hard. Dude, you can't dip them in ranch. Those things are nasty.
Even ranch, which is just buttermilk.
God.
You
Disgusting.
can't have
It's
it.
mayonnaise and just cream with dill.
Oh, God. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line.
Technically,
For
yes.
One's Gotta Go. What did you just say?
I like pickles.
Technically, those are just zucchini.
Aren't those
Cucumbers.
cucumbers?
Or cucumbers,
Yeah, I was
that's
gonna
right.
say,
Close
I
enough.
think that was wrong.
They're all
Yeah,
the same
with
thing.
vinegar.
They're all the same thing. Vinegar and salt. Once again.
314-399-9646. That's a One's Gotta Go. One's Gotta Go TV genres: comedy, drama, reality, or crime.
Reality.
Yeah, that's easy
Just
for me.
crap
reality.
TV. I can't do it.
Ooh, this is tough for me.
Yeah, no, because reality is your life.
We're coming up on Big Brother. Love is Blind was really good this year. Oh, boy. It might be comedy for me, man.
Oh, so many good shows go away.
New
when you get rid
comedy
of
shows,
comedy.
though?
Yeah, there's not many good new comedies. I can agree on that. Because the best ones are the ones like Seinfeld, Friends. Big
The
Bang
Office
Theory's
was
more
good.
recent. Office.
I don't know.
but
I think
that's older, too, now
there's
at
some
this
good
point.
ones.
Abbott Elementary, I did enjoy.
I think there's some good ones. That one with Shane Gillis on Netflix, Tires, is pretty funny.
Never seen it. I think I'd probably go comedy, honestly. I like drama a lot. That's probably my
I
go-to.
feel like drama and crime are the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, crime, if we're just saying like some kind of documentary, a true crime documentary, that's what my wife wants to watch 95% of the time. So it would be tough for us to live with TV shows if we didn't have that. And then reality TV, like, man, half of the year we're watching something on that.
Yeah, no, I've phased out of that reality TV stuff.
From the 636, would you consider sports to be a reality TV show?
No.
Sports is its own category.
Yeah.
I agree.
Those people say hot dogs are hamburgers.
T-Bone said loves the
sandwiches.
fruit cocktail cups. That's probably the thing that I would assume he'd
No, because it's got stuff in there that he probably doesn't eat.
Mandarin oranges. You had those before? The ones in the
I've had
little
oranges.
fruit cups. You don't like oranges either?
Yeah.
Cherries.
T-Bone, what do you eat, bro?
What are you talking? I just read off my list.
He just told you his carrots have to be soaked in butter. His broccoli's got to be covered in Velveeta.
What do you
A lot
eat?
of my the healthy part of my meal typically is either corn, green beans, a salad, or
with ranch dressing.
What do you put on your salad?
Ranch
a
dressing.
little bit of cheese, Not a lot. If I've got some peppers, I'll chop up some pepper and put it in there, like a bell pepper.
That's what my kids eat
And then
religiously.
olives. I've gotten into olives lately. So
Hell
I've been putting
yeah,
olives
brother.
in there. And then
I also don't think there's any health benefits to olives.
Why am I drawing a blank on the things you put in them, the hard things?
Croutons?
Croutons, thank you. I was thinking cucumber in my head for
The
some
only
reason.
thing of nutritional value that you put in
So you
there
put that in there,
was the bell peppers.
and then you put a little
you
bit
said
of-
you occasionally do
That's just if
that.
there's a pepper, and then
There's
you
a
put
lot
a
of
little
fiber in
vinaigrette
olives.
on there.
There's a lot of fiber in olives. Way to go, man.
Olives are healthy. I don't know what the...
I have a lot of
Listen
fiber, and I
here,
still have
Mom.
irritable bowel syndrome, so
And
somebody
if
needs to
I'm
explain
Corn
grilling-
that to
has
me.
like no
If
nutritional
I'm
value. It
grilling-
literally comes out the same way it went in.
If
Yeah,
I'm
corn is
grilling,
not good
I
for you.
love... If I'm grilling, I love to grill asparagus.
How much butter do you?
There you go.
How
That's
much
good.
butter do you put on your corn when you eat it?
Not a lot.
And that corn though is, I mean, it might as well be ethanol. Like it's just fuel.
Did you just did you just compare corn to gas? But he did, and I guess that kind of makes sense. It's like black beans, you know.
It does a whole lot of nothing for you.
Dude, bell peppers.
You're wild, man.
I will cut up 3 bell peppers on Sunday when I get them from the grocery store. By Monday, they're gone.
Oh yeah.
My girls will
peppers
just
rock.
take them out of the fridge, and they'll just devour the entire container themselves.
Holmes long buddy. What the hell, T-Bone? Is it just hot dogs and coffee? You eat worse than my 8-year-old.
And whiskey.
Yeah, not as much on the whiskey anymore. I'm
No?
trying
You
to
phased
cut back
out of
on the
it?
drinking a little bit. Yeah.
T-Bone, your
We're
body.
starting to get a little bit healthier. Look, I ran the other day. It's
your
a miracle
body-
I'm standing right now.
Your
I'm
body
so
is
sore.
going to go into shutdown mode in like 2
Whose
years.
body is shutting down more? The guy that's standing here feeling fine right now, or the guy that you thought crapped himself earlier because he jumped up cramping to death?
But I mean, he did it from
T-Bone's
Pilates.
going to get to 35, and it's going to be quadruple bypass surgery time.
Good riddance.
Amen to that. I want to eat
Amen.
what I want and just get
Yeah.
off of this
If I'm going
godforsaken
out
planet.
eating what I want and doing what I want to do, you know what? You know who's happy? This guy.
Hey, I'll
God
eat
bless
healthy,
you, man.
but then the problem is my wife loves to bake, so every day there's something new on the counter, and it's like, son of a.
I used to be super strict on some of the stuff that I would eat. I'm the
yeah, I
same way
gave
now.
up on
Like
that.
it's like if you the majority of the time eat relatively healthy, go to a bakery. You know, like give yourself a nice drink at the end of the
Yeah.
night. It's fine.
Here,
T-Bone, don't say yeah.
you take out
That
the
doesn't
healthy
mean
part.
having a sausage and a hot dog
No.
as your health benefit foods for the
No,
day.
he has his ham sandwich with his Kraft cheese.
And his broccoli from a can.
His Velveeta
Velveeta
broccoli.
cheese.
His Velveeta broccoli with his plum juice. I've had plum juice before.
I still say I get plums
Somebody
out of here.
sent in a gif of Bobby from King of the Hill laying down, eating chips off of his chest.
Like I said when you guys tried to test me earlier this year, I don't need a ton of potato chips.
Tanner lays on the
Inaccurate.
couch and he's got chips here and he's got whiskey here and he's like, boy, this is the life.
Don't forget about the cigar hanging out
yeah.
of his lip.
And he's like, somebody bring me
you
some
go.
broccoli soup.
Are you an uncrustable guy?
No, not a fan.
Too much nutritional value in that for you?
Peanut
No, he
butter
likes
and jelly,
the crust.
I'm out.
The crust is the best part.
I'm not a big peanut butter jelly guy. Can't do it. Mostly it's the jelly.
I feel like you have ruled out most of the things you can eat for lunch.
I don't think so. We didn't rule out like lunch meat. That's all you need.
That's good for
Right,
you.
like when I get home, I'm going to have probably a turkey sandwich for my lunch. Turkey, cheese, a little spicy mustard, and lettuce. That's delicious. I don't know what I'm doing for dinner tonight. I got play-by-play. It's going to be a late night.
Probably
McDonald's.
more
Come on,
turkey.
man. Let's be real.
White Castle on the way home.
Coming up next, we'll hit the rewind, and I'm about to tell you about Victory in Men's Health. T-Bone better be listening.
Hot
Here on
fudge
PK
brownie,
and
baby.
Ferrario. I think I'm going to go ahead and sign up right now, T-Bone, to go over to Victory Men's Health. You can do the same at victorymenshealth.com. That first appointment, it's a super easy process to book, and they'll check out where all of your micronutrient levels are at. Maybe you're like T-Bone, and you let yourself go a little bit over the years, and you say to yourself, it's time to get back on track. I want to be the best version of myself. Well, Victory Men's Health can help you do exactly that. They'll put together a comprehensive lab work for you, and then they'll find out where all of your different levels are at. And if you do have some deficiencies in there, they're going to find a way to make sure that you can get back to where you need to be. For some people, that means maybe your testosterone levels are a little lower than they would be at an optimal level. Well, they can help you optimize that. They can help you with weight loss goals. They can also help you with sexual health if that's something that you're looking for as well. It's all available for you today at their 4 great locations across the St. Louis area at Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com. That's victorymenshealth.com. I love our text line. Fridays are the best. From Big Illusion. In all honesty, I know behind the scenes you guys are all tight. Get T-Bone in shape. Take him to the gym. We would all root for him. There is a real opportunity here for an endorsement for T-Bone.
Totally. And there's 2 of them. We could do social media in terms of dating.
Absolutely.
And then exercising. We could have a video series of us with T-Bone that would be incredible. But T-Bone won't do it.
No, I would do it. I would do it. We get an endorsement for it. I would get
we gotta
myself
get it like
in
Club
shape.
Fitness. Get on board. We've got T-Bone. We can get him a Club Fitness. It's like $20 a month, I think, for a membership. Or at least used to be. We could just get him a free membership. We could talk about it on the radio over here. We could log it with some kind of like digital videos
when
as
I
well.
Get billed,
YouTube.
I'll start doing the show shirtless.
It'd be great. This would be amazing. There is a real opportunity here. If you're a gym around town and you want to get involved, email T-Bone. What is it? T Hendrickson at 101ESPN.com. Go ahead and
That's
email
my
him.
email.
We'll try to get you signed up.
The amount of email
From the
I'm gonna get now.
314, T-Bone, I'm a big meat and potatoes guy, but damn, I never thought a fruit tray would be considered a punishment.
I'm telling you, there needs to be like a food roulette, like they do the hot wing challenge. There needs to be a food roulette of like fruits where we start out with the basic ones and we build up to like dragon fruit and honeydew and watch him just continue to down spiral.
It'll start out with an apple, and by the end, he's having dragon fruit.
And he will be losing his mind.
Some kiwi is like somewhere in the middle.
Plum should be last.
T-Bone, I'm filling this form out for
Again,
you.
it's
And you are in
prunes,
the
man.
Oh, my
Prunes
bad,
are the
my
things
bad.
you don't
T-Bone,
like.
I am filling this form out for you. You are in the unhealthy spectrum
What are the
right now.
small little green ones too? My grandma used to make those all the time when I lived.
Small little
grapes?
green
No,
ones.
not grapes. I like grapes.
I just sometimes I
can't
don't know
remember.
with you, man.
I
The,
can't,
the small little green fruits.
yeah, I can't remember what they
I
are
think there's
called.
only one small.
talking
little,
about kiwis?
I think he's talking
no.
about grapes.
No, not.
You know red. Do you know
Hold on,
grapes
I'm
are red and green, right?
I know,
Okay.
I know.
I just want to make sure there's no
I'm
small
looking.
green
I'm
fruit.
looking.
You talking honeydew?
No.
Honeydew's not green, right? Isn't that like orange?
I can't think. What is it? The one I'm looking for? I don't even see it on this chart.
It's because
I
it's not
think
real.
Gooseberries?
What the hell is that?
Gooseberries. Is that like
Just make that up.
Is that like
We actually had some recently. They're all right.
Is that like the
Not my
Rocky
Guava?
oysters? Guava. You think he's eating guava?
Hey, man, I don't know. Mangoes?
No, not
Do you think?
mangoes.
Do you think he ate like Rocky Mountain oysters?
Green apples? Small green apples?
Green apple.
No, they're just real small. You put them in the oven, cook them.
Put them in the oven. Are you talking about okra?
No, not what the hell's okra?
You talking about Brussels sprouts?
Yeah, all those things are
thought we were
disgusting.
talking about
fruit.
That's a
Oh, my bad.
vegetable.
My bad. It's green though, isn't it?
Wait, what kind of fruit are you baking?
Oh, whatever that was, it's disgusting.
That's why he doesn't like fruit. People are giving him Brussels sprouts and he thinks it's fruit. He's like, this fruit tastes
Also,
too
Brussels
leafy.
sprouts are really good.
Oh, God, no, they're terrible.
Disgusting.
Fried
terrible.
Brussies, man.
Fried Brussies. Is that like how you go crazy on your weekend?
Dude,
appetite?
yeah, I could put
Oh,
some
man.
Brussels sprouts
I am
down,
gonna go
bro.
buck wild. I am gonna
Food
get
at
some
my house for a
fried
Super Bowl party is
Brussies.
going to be awesome.
Text
BK's
line,
having
don't
that.
tell me this man is talking about peas. We now confusing peas with a fruit, T-Bone. Limes, avocado. People just sending in T-Bone a bunch of fruits, and he's like, no. Brussels
I
sprouts.
knew once I saw the name or someone said that, I knew this right. Man, my grandma used to make this. I remember my grandpa like trying it. He hated eating them. He would eat them. I just said, I'm not doing it, Grandpa. Good for you.
Grandpa wanted to live long.
Oh, banana peppers are good. Yeah, those are good. Those popped up on the text line.
Anything that has nutritional value, T-Bone is the no. You know that meme
Yeah.
of the guy that's looking at the girl
And he's like,
anything that's white, tan, brown, or gray.
Anything with
T-Bone's
salt.
like, that's for me.
anything with salt
Anything
and
with color?
Velveeta cheese.
No.
I'm in on that.
All right.
What are we doing here?
Rewind, I
sports,
think.
you losers!
We only got one of those, which is kind of amazing.
They all tuned out.
Cardinals back in action this weekend against the Padres. So won game one of this series. They've got McGreevy, May, and Leahy over the next three games. They're going up against Canning, Vasquez, and Buehler. Guys, how you feeling going into this series? You've got a really tough team on the other side. Not a great lineup, but excellent pitching. You got to see some of the back end of their pen last night, and you were able to take advantage of it. How you feeling going into these next three?
I'm feeling good, man. The offense finds ways to come through at whatever moment. It'll be interesting to see if the rest of the pitching staff can continue what Matthew Liberatore did. Obviously, the Padres are going through right now, so I think they get the series win in this one and win 3-4.
That's what I said. I thought that up when we talked on the Redbird Report earlier this week. I think they take 3 or 4. I think they're running into them at the right time. You know, I still don't know that I believe in the Cardinals pitching, but the Padres offense isn't very good. You saw it last night. Their three big dogs aren't hitting right now. So I think you take advantage of that, and I think your offense is going to put up enough runs to take 3 or 4.
I'm with you guys. I'm feeling good going in. If you want to hear more about the Cardinals, check out the latest edition of the Redbird Report, youtube.com/101ESPN STL. If that's not your speed, you prefer to hear about the Blues, guess what? We've got the Last Minute Blues podcast over on the YouTube page as well. We appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in today. Have yourself a fruit and a vegetable this weekend. Please do so on behalf of our guy, Tanner Hendrickson.
Yeah,
If
eat
you
'em
missed
for
any
me.
of our show today, check it out on the podcast page. Appreciate Eric, by the way, who did a fantastic job for us today on the board, filling in for our guy, T-Bone. He'll be back in with us very soon. For
I'll be here
Alex,
Monday.
for T-Bone,
Maybe.
I'm BK.
Get some vegetables
We'll
in
talk
ya.
to you on Monday. The Fast Lane is next here on 101 ESPN.